Welcome to episode 10 of the Heroes Edge Collectibles podcast. We're going to do Marvel back issues and crossovers. We're only doing 2 of them today. But first, I would like to plug the Heroes Edge Collectibles, which is my comic book store, because I'm the owner, if anybody knew that, for Free Comic Book Day, May 7th, the first Saturday in May. All right, we're going to be doing a lot of sales, starting off with back issues. If you're a loyal customer, we're going to be doing 75% off for you guys. All right, so those of you I see every week have a pull list with us or are on the podcast panel or editing staff. Yay. You're going to get 75% off, 50% off to everybody else. So come out, check our thousands of back issues. We have a lot and a lot more to come. Let me tell you that. I got probably like 40 long boxes still to sift through. And then we'll also be doing 25% off hardcovers trades, 15% off toys and action figures and supplies, and then even 10% off the rack items. So if you miss something that week, you can save it till Free Comic Day if you really wanted to and get an extra 10% off if it's still available. We're going to be doing cosplay. We're going to do a live stream. We're going to have the whole crew here live streaming for the Heroes Edge podcast, doing commissioned sketches, face painting, cosplay.
Just some outside interviews.
Yeah, outside interviews for the
meet
line.
some of you guys.
Yeah. And hopefully, I'm working on free food. If we can get that sanctioned with the health department, you'll have free food as well. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in. And, yeah, we'll see you here at 1212 North Green Street in McHenry, Illinois, 60050 at the Heroes Edge Collectibles. That was a good plug, right?
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, cool. So, anyway, on to today's segment. We're going to start with introductions after we just did that crazy Free Comic Book Day thing. I'm your host, Blake Britton. To my right, as always, Darren Kravanaugh. And in the far distant galaxies over there, we got Danny Humphrey.
Hey.
And Cameron Cavett. Yay. All right. So today, as you know, is we're doing Marvel. Back to Marvel time. We're going to start off. Oh, wait. We got to stop. Geek Sneak Peek. Geek Culture segment. Starting off. Take it away, Cameron.
All right. Well, a lot happened in geek culture this week. A lot of really cool things to be happy about. We got, well, what are we going to talk about? Maybe Cloak and Dagger getting their own show?
That's something I'm not happy about.
Yeah, I don't think we should talk about that either. I mean,
well, ABC Family's happy.
And that's why I'm not happy about it.
Is that what it's coming out?
oh,
Yeah.
And
ABC Family?
It's not ABC Family anymore. It's now like
free something?
free form.
Yeah.
So it's
like Pretty Little Liars meets like
pretty much
Marvel Knights.
Now, if it was like on Netflix, it'd be great.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
But no, it's going to be on ABC
That
Family.
seems a little out of place.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well-
real out of place, actually.
I'll say like watching Jessica Jones on Netflix because she's awesome. The first thing you see her is pooping on a toilet. You know, you're not going to see Cloak and Dagger taking a dump on ABC Family.
Didn't they get their...
Luke Cage railing her.
I mean,
Constantly.
I mean, the two of them got their
Taking
powers.
it back for
Okay.
all those
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Just giving it.
that was just built
Breaking
up for a while.
balls and
Darren,
shit.
go on.
I mean, the two of them got their
Means
powers
two things.
because they were like abducted by like a drug dealer and like he was putting like a new type of drug into him. You're gonna put that on ABC Family or on Freeform or whatever?
That's not
That
gonna
is
happen.
strange. Like,
Yeah.
how are they going to do the origin of them?
They're
don't
going to
know.
do the whole, they're going to work the romance angle, I bet.
Well,
That's
I
what
don't-
It's all going to be.
I don't and
Get that out of here.
Yeah, and I don't mind the romance angle. That's fine. It's just it's
Oh,
It's
you
gonna
know
be a
what?
rom com.
yeah. Right?
What annoys me is it's probably going to be like that damn like Teen Wolf show on MTV.
Or like the best of Lifetime.
It's almost as bad as AMC's taking The Walking Dead and Preacher.
Yeah.
You know, no, I'm serious. Like, imagine Walking Dead on Netflix, HBO,
Yeah.
Showtime,
Yeah.
Cinemax. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
And Kirkman's done good with it, like where it's at. I mean, you know, it's blown up, but I've never seen a show that's had a talk show based on another show.
Yeah.
That's how good it is. But
Oh, and
yeah,
a,
you're
and
right.
and a show based on a show
based off
based
a
on a
comic.
talk show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Based on a comic.
You know where I'm going with it, but like, yeah, I see your point. Like, if it was on those, you know, Showtime, HBO, Cinemax, it would probably be, you know, 10 times better
For sure.
You know, so
But yeah, that's not what we're going for this week. Obviously, we're not too into that.
Wait, we're going on Suicide Squad with Harley Quinn putting her clothes on.
No. Even though that trailer dropped last night, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
We got a new Game of Thrones trailer that we could also talk about maybe, but I think
Jesus, a lot of shit happened this week, man.
The director of Deadpool is working exclusively with Eric Powell to create the first live-action Goon movie, which is pretty sweet.
Andy's excited about that.
Yeah.
He was just wiggling behind the camera.
Yeah. I'm excited about that, too.
Yeah.
Goon's awesome.
Andy's a fan of Goon. He's throwing up like the horns right now.
He's a goon.
But that didn't make the top of our list. What made the top of our list is something that we've been waiting to see for a very long time. Something I'm sure some of us probably thought we'd never
Rogue
see.
One.
That's later. That's later
Oh,
this
all
year.
right. Sorry, that happened this week as well.
Right?
Yeah.
A character with 75 years of development. One of our favorites. The Joker in the Killing Joke animated movie. Going to be R-rated, which is a big deal. Well-deserved. It's not a publicity stunt. The original content material is very mature and graphic. It's one of the most hardcore Joker stories, hands down.
Yeah, when's the last time we've had an R-rated animated movie get dropped? Like, I don't
was
even
a comic
remember.
movie?
I don't even remember like one that's, and you, dude, it's gonna be successful.
Yeah.
Like it will be, you know. And everyone can blame it on the whole Deadpool shtick and how well that did, but that's bullshit.
Yeah, this has been in planning since before Deadpool.
Yeah, and if at the end of the day, if it's a good story, regardless of its rating, it's gonna do good.
Yeah. Well, especially as a Killing Joke.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One of Alan Moore's best writings.
Yeah.
Things
Some
like
of his
that,
best
you know?
work was, I mean, with DC. He did, what do you get? Watchmen. What do you get? The Superman annual, I believe it was #2. What do you get for The Man Who Has Everything?
Oh, my God. That was amazing.
He Swamp Thing.
Yep,
yeah.
Swamp Thing.
He redefined that character.
Yeah,
From what I heard.
Absolutely.
I mean, he
He made it
created
good.
Constantine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then he did that, and it was initially, I think it was supposed to be an origin, but it was supposed to be an Elseworlds, and it was so good that they're like, well, we're just gonna make it canon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely an Elseworlds, and then after that, he redefined the character so much that comic readers just took it for what it was. Even comic writers and artists were like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the Joker's backstory.
Yeah.
For sure. But wait, we don't know his name yet.
Ugh.
I don't want to.
We'll tell us soon.
I don't want to. I feel like I'm gonna like plug my eyes on that one.
Skip that panel.
I don't want to see it. Like
Yeah.
I think it's gonna remove the mystery of the character. But that's my opinion. You know.
Yeah, of all things that have come out of the Rebirth thing, that's the one that has annoyed me the most.
That's not even after Rebirth. That's
That's in
Just League
Justice
50,
League,
which is
yeah.
coming out what, like 4 weeks? Not
Yeah, that's
even.
gonna be like.
Oh, is that going to be like Batman on the Mobius chair is going to like learn it? Because I thought when he was on it initially, it like didn't tell him.
Well, yeah, when I saw the Rebirth WonderCon panel, Jeff Johns was saying that you hear it, then, you know, he had the, okay, what's my name, blah, blah, what's Joker's real name? And he's like, that can't be true. And you never figure it out, but he said that's what they wanted to do, was reveal it in issue 50.
Yeah.
eh,
I wonder if it's going to come out like a Destiny's Child song.
Yeah, maybe they'll just do it after Rebirth and call it Afterbirth.
Oh, man.
Afterbirth #1.
Postpartum.
I mean,
I kind of stopped like trusting Jeff Johns after like Green Lantern was coming out, and he was like, "Oh my god, I saw it and it was amazing," and I was like, "Oh my god, it has to be amazing because Jeff Johns, who wrote it, said so." Oh, but he was just being like DC's little like lackey, and they're like, "Go say that it's good."
Yeah, but he's
and
got-
Oh,
He's got that big following, though. It's just
I don't care. That movie was horrible.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree with that. I'm just.
Darren's branding cattle this week.
It was ridiculous. Oh, it's a good movie. You should go see it. Oh, and I did. Oh, I did.
after all he did for you with Green Lantern Rebirth, how dare you?
Yeah, well,
Well, I guess you're like, how dare you do that to me?
exactly.
Anyway, back to Killing Joke.
Yeah, Killing Joke. I mean, I watched, Danny posted as soon as it came out. Danny was on top of it. He posted a 10-minute sneak preview that they released online. I watched the whole thing, man. So cool. Mark Hamill, Kevin Conroy coming back, whole Batman animated series team. And, you know, Mark Hamill was going to retire as the Joker after, I think, the video game, the Arkham game?
Yeah.
And he likes the story so much that he decided, yeah, I'll come back for that one. You know, and in that cool video, he was saying that, you know, when I get a Joker script, although his Joker voice is the same, the mannerisms and the elevating and tone pitches and that, he changes based on what kind of story it is.
Yeah.
And just the little clips that they peppered throughout that were so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the same creative team from Batman the Animated Series. There is going to be slight drawing differences because they were saying that they actually had to in order to get it as much like the original art as they could. They had to almost emulate the artist and kind of reverse animate to find their way to emulate the artist of The Killing Joke. And for some reason off the top of my head I cannot think of the artist's name.
Oh man.
And that actually kills me because he's a really amazing artist.
Yeah.
But
I'm not an
they had to really take their time with it, and you'll see nuances of Bruce Timm in this. That's not the problem. It's only a step in a better direction of it.
It's like
Is it
Batman.
Brian Boland? Is that it?
It sounds familiar. I mean, from what I've seen of the animation, it kind of reminds me of like a more mature Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, I agree in every way.
Totally.
So, I mean, if you like that series, like this is just going to be more of that. But like one of the coolest stories of all time.
And more mature, definitely. Batgirl suffers a lot of trauma in that story. I mean, she's kind of one of the main focal points. And the people who are adapting it in that special, which was really cool, is they said that they're actually going to be giving Batgirl, like, I think it's 20 to 30 minutes before they start taking from the comics, so you care more about Batgirl.
She's going to be the original voice too.
Actress. Yeah.
So cool, man.
Yeah, I had brought this up, before, but this was such a heavy story that recently within the New 52, I think it was Batgirl number 42.
I'm not sure
I
the
want to say
exact
41.
41.
I don't think it matters that much.
It was
whichever one's the
during
Joker.
line.
The Joker
Variants each month. Yeah.
Yeah. In Batgirl, they released a cover that was kind of taken from that time, inspired by The Killing Joke, which was the Joker basically taking blood and smearing lipstick on,
Like a smile.
yeah, a lipstick smile on Batgirl's face in front of him as he kind of held her captive.
Yeah, and she's like,
Yeah,
freaking out.
She was pretty freaking out of that one.
DC pulled it off the racks.
Yep, let's ban it. Yay.
It was absolutely banned. The artist ended up like they put pressure on him. The public put pressure. What would you say? Like
soccer moms.
100 moms
100 soccer
complained.
moms, pretty much.
100 soccer moms
Pretty
complained
much.
about it, so it got pulled right away.
Gotta love how we are like the country who's like, oh, freedom is great, freedom is grand. Yet we are very prude when it comes to things like
Oh,
that.
man. Like,
That's another topic.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's art.
It is.
It's art.
It is art. And it's a Joker variant, which Joker has nothing good to do about anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. In my opinion, anything that deals with an artistic's point of view in any way
Yeah.
should be absolutely public.
Yeah. It's,
know?
it's his expressions. I mean, if you look at a lot of these other ones that even Capullo's done. Oh, let's not ban those because it's a dude on dude, action.
oh yeah, like the
But
one
when
I
you-
picked up at C2E2. Andy can pop that up, somewhere around here. It was the cover I've been looking
The
for
Andy Kirkwood
forever.
variant.
Yeah, where Joker's take his face that is a mask now and is putting it on Batman's face in an electrical chair, and he's like screaming like crazy. It never happened in the book, but that would have been amazing.
But that one's okay.
yeah,
But
that's
when you
okay.
do it on Batgirl,
you see Joker's skinned face laughing. But
yeah,
that's cool.
When you do it on Batgirl, it makes it a completely different soccer
Well, that's
mom
because
story.
like man abuse. Like, what's that?
Yeah. Oh.
No, but I mean, as soon as you go the other gender way with it, it's not tolerated whatsoever.
For sure.
Well, and the thing is, it's not that it's not even tolerated whatsoever. It was a minority of people who said we don't like this.
Yeah.
And DC was like, okay, and put pressure, and the artist is like, well, we'll pull it. And the thing is that that's not even their core audience, their core demographic. Their core demographic would have been like, that's awesome. What, that thing's 1 in 50?
Right,
Oh,
right.
hell yeah, it's going to be worth a lot of money, and I'm going to buy it.
right.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
That's
Just for the viewer. I mean, as being a comic store retailer, the store demographic is like 24 to maybe 50. When you're talking about people like that, they don't care about that.
Yeah.
They think about like, hey, that's some cool art. Look what the Joker's doing to Batgirl. They're not thinking like, oh my God, that's but
Yeah.
But again, that brings in the target demographic of moms. And moms are also in that demographic. So it's kind of
And even if it was that much of a big deal, like the least that they could have done was, maybe put like a black bag over it for adults to buy it that week or something.
Yeah, but this was
so that maybe kids didn't.
But then-
have to
but
This
buy
was
it.
a Joker variant.
But you have to understand, these are probably also the moms who are like, well, my boy likes Deadpool and he's only 8. Let's take him to go see the movie after, like, it's rated R. We have the rating. How long has the rating system been around?
Yeah.
Oh, but we don't know what the letter R means.
Yeah.
And then when that's under 17
and we have to
under.
cover his eyes every time there's
Yeah.
something going on.
Oh, and not only that is like, could we please just petition the writers to rewrite it so
Yeah.
I can take my kid to see it, which he shouldn't be seeing?
Yeah, make it a PG rating.
Yeah.
Just to.
Can you ruin the character so my son can see this, please? Like,
Pretty much.
sure, ma'am.
Ryan Reynolds, screw this up, please. Don't make it any sort of where the comics play him.
Oh, he's not. That's what's awesome about that movie.
Yeah.
Which is great, you know.
So, but yeah, Killing Joke. I think it's going to be an incredible.
It comes out this summer.
Yeah.
On DVD.
Yeah. Do you guys want to mention anything about Rogue One? Because that was pretty huge too.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
that was insane.
It was phenomenal.
I mean, it's so good that Forrest Whitaker's in it, and we all got the dead eye like Forrest Whitaker.
His like left Cosby eye. Yeah, that's cool, dude. Like I'm really psyched that he's in it. I thought that whoever that Asian guy like whipping ass like as a martial artist in there was really cool.
Yeah, with the staff.
Yeah, just
A bunch of
the whole-
AT-ATs just walking around blasting stuff.
And like the last shot you see, that blast looks like it almost hits one of them or does. Like, oh god.
I mean, and all the rumors going around now that that's Ray's mom. Because
Yeah.
if you look at her, she does kind of look
Kind of
like
look
Ray.
like her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Like, you know, Blake had mentioned beforehand how, like, because they're doing a prequel-esque Dark Time story, that they can, you know, take those characters and have them affiliated with those future Episode 8 and Episode
sure.
9 characters.
Well, and it keeps continuation of Star Wars. I mean, if you're making prequels, you can make new characters, right? And that gives you more story to be like, oh, well, I'm
the
gonna put
great
that
thing
in
about the
episode 8,
universe
episode 9.
is that it is a whole galaxy unto itself.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do a story about anyone, anywhere. Like there used to be in the old Dark Horse comics. There'd be like, "What's this guy's
I know
story?"
what you're going with, yeah.
And like, there'd be some like,
what's this guy's
like,
story? Like, it's like
Duros.
Hammerhead in the,
Yeah.
like, the bar room.
it'd be some like Duros or like a Nithorian in the background, and you're like, "Yeah, what is that guy's story? I don't know what's up with him." You know? I mean, that's the great thing about Star Wars. And this is kind of what it's doing, is that we've got this whole side story about, we're getting as far as we know, it's a group of people who are busting in to get the Death Star plans.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
And
how
it
cool is
just
that?
happens to be like based off of like this one rebel that kind of started it or is being selected to be the one that goes and gets it. And you know, for all you guys that are like shitting on her just because she's a woman, like that's really stupid.
I believe the term is stop being so damn butthurt.
Yeah,
Hurt's a real word.
I can understand.
Pretty sure it's two
I
words.
have problems
put it
with
together.
like series or books that are like, you take a character and like you switch things around. Like, okay, if you're bringing in a female character just to do it, and the story's going to be crap because it's just like, well, that's what we're doing. The story was going to be this way, but we're changing around for this reason just because we're going to do it to do it.
Yeah.
Then, you know what? Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
But if you're taking it and you're just making a great story based off of great characters and let the writers do what they're doing, it's
Exactly.
going to be awesome. Then, you know what? Suck it up. Go pay your money to go see a good Star Wars movie. And I have a feeling that's what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And
Well,
look at Mad Max. Charlize Theron did amazing in that movie as a lead female.
Sure.
I mean, go back to the old days of like Sigourney Weaver in the Aliens
Mm-hmm.
movies, or Terminator 2. What's her name?
Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
Linda Hamilton.
You know,
I was gonna
those
say
were
it.
like
Connor.
strong, badass women who you had no problem being like, yeah, I believe it. She's a tough bitch, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was only because what she played secondary to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
You know, that it was all right. But I mean, you know, it only makes sense as far as I'm concerned. Like, the Empire's you're not gonna see it coming, like having a female role enter into the Empire, all espionage, like, you know. I'm pretty sure that that's what the story is about. Like, she's going undercover into the Empire to try to get the Death Star plans.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. And now let me ask
could
you guys.
be wrong, but I would think that, you know, being like, you know, an Imperial commander, I would suspect a man over a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's my like just little, you know, opinion and interpretation of it. And she seems like a badass.
Yeah. Especially the Imperial Empire. I mean, you saw them in episode 7.
Yeah.
Those guys were total World War II Germans.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what they were
first
based
order.
off of. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
that's where Lucas got his idea. Stormtroopers. I mean,
Yeah, and if you have a female lead going into that, I mean, if you base it off of World War II at all, women weren't even really doing much of anything.
I mean, in the
In
original
the leader roles.
in A New Hope, none of the Moffs or the Grand Admirals were females.
Yep.
They were all like very smartly dressed males.
Yep.
You know.
None of them were even aliens.
Yeah.
Like the Empire is kind of racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're very xenophobic.
Yeah.
The Emperor always was.
But I will say, going back to that the initial reason, well, what I said initially was about bringing female characters. I mean, she could be one of the greatest characters that we come to know, and just because she's a female, you shouldn't hate
It's
on it.
the only reason they're making such a big deal out of it is because of Ray.
And Ray was awesome.
Ray was awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
she
was
was.
great.
Ray, you know what? Ray was awesome, and Finn was cool too.
Yeah, he was.
You know what? Who cares if it's a black stormtrooper? I don't give a shit. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
It
Poe has a
was the
thing for
first
Finn.
time we've ever
The
gotten like a
bromance.
female lead Jedi.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna be a main Jedi, and she's a woman. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's something different that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And this new rebel, she's not a Jedi. She's a pilot. She's something different as well. So like I don't know. I don't really see the big deal of it, and I think it's kind of retarded that the internet's even making a big deal out of it.
I'm looking forward to seeing an awesome Star Wars movie. That's
yeah.
the way I see it.
So let me ask you guys this though: do you think that it's just going to be a fun Star Wars movie to fill time, or is there going to be some practicality to it, to where it's like this happened before the Death Star, obviously, but does it have significance 30 years later now?
I believe it's going to have significance.
to.
I believe it will.
Like there will be something that ties.
I don't think it'll be a lot. I think there will be small things. I do know that they have mentioned that Rebels will have things that tie into Rogue One.
Nice.
Because I mean, Rebels takes place further, further in the past. But I think it'll have some small ties, but I don't think it'll be anything major. I think it'll just be like a cool side story that's like, hey, these are how they got the plans for the original Death Star, and this is the shit that went down to get it.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be friendly. I mean, I don't expect half of that group of people that are starring it to survive through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like how her just whole disposition is. She's like, I'm a rebel, I rebel, that's what I do. Like, oh, if you're doing it, you have to have these guidelines. She's like,
Yeah.
no, don't care.
Yeah.
Which is what makes me think, like, at the very end of the trailer, you see her donning Stormtrooper pilot armor, or TIE Fighter pilot armor, and she's doesn't have the helmet on, but the way she looks, it's like, does she go against the rebels that sent her there? Is this a double espionage story? Because that's one of the fun things is why I like DC and their detective espionage stories is could she be a double agent? Could she go there and be like, oh, I'm swayed by the Imperials now. This is cool. I'm going to stay here. Or is she going to go there and be like, I have to let my rebels think that I'm fully gone to the Imperial side so I can get deeper. Those are the cool intricacies I like about those stories.
I think that's a possibility, but because she emulates Rebel, I don't think she's going to like fall into any like
Everything's open.
Order, you know what I mean? I don't think she's gonna fall into the order. I believe that she's gonna get the plans and she's gonna make it out, but she's gonna die trying.
Yeah.
I kind of think that that's what's going to happen with it.
Well, she has to have a little thing with Luke before that happens.
So they have
Like right before that, she's like, oh, yeah.
You're like, confirm the Ray theory, damn
Yeah.
it, confirm it.
We gotta have a Ray being made somewhere. Production's got to start somewhere.
That smile though.
She was born, if
Daisy Ridley smile.
Wikipedia is correct, she was born 11 years after the Battle of Yavin.
Did anyone see?
don't know.
I'm sorry, the Battle of Endor. Not
Did
Battle of
anyone see what like Mark Hamill sent her as a birthday gift?
Yavin. Yeah, where he's
Like,
on
online?
her back, like Yoda was on his back, like Jedi
Yeah.
training.
Like
carrying
carrying
him
like a
like a
backpack.
backpack.
On
Oh.
Daisy Riley's back, and he's like pointing.
It looks like he's like carrying around doing Jedi training.
That's awesome.
I saw 2 photoshops where one was they made Mark Hamill look like Yoda, like green and short, and put his face like in the center. And then I saw another one where they had that one side by side with like same picture, but they like photoshopped Kylo Ren's face onto hers and Snoke's on the
jeez.
back.
Oh,
Snoke or
man.
Snokes, whatever his name.
Hey,
That guy who we still don't know who he is.
on episode 7, how disappointing was the physical appearance of Kylo Ren? When you took the helmet off, I was kind of like, looks kind of like
I wasn't
kind of
bugged
looks
by
like a
it too
crazy
much.
Englishman.
You know what's funny is like after the movie, I really came like at first I was conflicted on him, and then I started really breaking it down. I was like, he's a different kind of Sith. I get why he's dangerous and cool.
I
in
don't
his own
even think
thing.
he's not even really a Sith.
Yeah.
He's just dark side.
Yeah, well, that's
I
what, I guess
mean,
that's what I
he's-
meant more.
He's
But,
very much he's at odds with himself. I mean, his saber the construction of a saber kind of tells you his personality. That saber
Unstable.
is very unstable, which him as a character was, which is what he was whiny. He's a Skywalker. You know?
It's gonna be that way.
It's like a family thing. Apparently none of the
He's
Solo.
yelly like a Solo and whiny like a Skywalker.
But I mean, but he's strong in the Force, and he's very like conflicted. Except in his confliction, instead of going good, he's like,
Yeah.
I did a bad thing.
I did bads.
But what I was gonna say though was him. Shit, what was I gonna say?
He doesn't look as bad as you think. Have you seen it since the theater?
I didn't see it in the theaters. I actually saw it when it came out.
Oh, recently then?
Yeah, I saw it like Thursday or
I
Friday.
would
of
check
last
it out
week.
like maybe another time. Like just like have it has a little rewatchability to it.
So don't have like 6 beers before I watch it.
I've seen it like 4 times, 5 times now, and it's not as bad. Like as you keep rewatching it, you're
All right.
all right. You get used to it.
It's kind of like when you first listen to like a CD. And you're like, man, that was all right. And then you grow to be like, that's freaking awesome. I love this CD. Like,
But yeah, I saw it twice in the theaters. Once with these guys, once with a different group of friends, and then afterwards, SNL did that wonderful skit. This is where I was going. The man, I watched it when it came out last week with Jim from our Image podcast, and
so ridiculous.
oh my god, when he was taking his mask off and having certain dialogue scenes, I couldn't separate it.
Yeah.
because he did that so well. It was like tantrums and all that. I just kept being like. Yeah, I knew you were Matt or Kylo as Susie threw me through the machine. So good.
you guys ready for this week's segment?
Yeah.
Days of Marvel's past.
Yeah, here we go. So, Days of Future Marvel's past. I kept screwing it up yesterday.
We're focusing on some event books.
Yeah. One key being Civil War. As you know, guys, there's Civil War 2 coming out, which is the comics. And then there's also the Civil War movie coming out. This summer, right?
Yeah, it comes out May 6th.
May 6th.
Yeah.
Right-
It's only
right- the
fair
weekend
that
of
we
Free
kind of
Comic
talk
Day.
about Civil
There's
War, the
usually
original
a
event series.
Marvel movie does come out the week of Free Comic Book Day.
That's a solid move on Marvel.
Yeah, it's been happening for since Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me think.
They have dropped their movie on Free Comic Book Day
Either Iron Man
every
or Thor
day.
or Winter
I remember
Soldier.
going to Free Comic Book Day over at Al's.
Yeah.
Then I remember getting dinner with these guys, and then I remember going and seeing the movie.
Yeah.
For the past
That's
2
awesome.
consecutive years.
All right.
We've
Way
done
to go,
like
Marvel.
Tradition.
Yeah, Free Comic Book Day, May 7th. Here's Edge. All right, cool. So, yeah, you want to start off with Civil War?
Yeah, Civil War. A bit different from the book, from the movie that's coming out. The book actually, the similarities is the whole Registration Act aspect of it, but the catalyst was completely different. The catalyst in this one, you have the New Warriors, who are their own C-list group of heroes, and they have their own reality show because yay, everyone loves reality TV,
They used to be a decent team,
right?
sort
And
of.
I think that was
like the
as we've
Jersey
said
Shore of
before,
Marvel.
how Marvel talks about current,
kinda.
how Marvel brings up stuff in current world issues is I think that was around the time of the huge reality TV craze on VH1, constantly.
Well,
all the love shows.
Yeah.
But anyway, they storm into if they're C-list heroes, these guys are a little above them, B-list.
Well, the only
villains.
original one on the team was Speedball.
Yeah.
I mean, the team used to have Firestar and Justice and a couple other like Nova. And
Yeah,
Night
he even
Thrasher.
says we gotta increase ratings because Nova just left.
Yeah.
What about
He went to
that?
the Annihilation War.
So this reality show's going off, and as they storm this house of villains, the fight leads outside, and Namorita, one of the new warriors, she takes a Nitro just out into the schoolyard, a little bit away from this house, and he completely explodes.
Which is his power to explode.
Yeah.
And doesn't he pull himself back together or something?
No, he doesn't even die. It's just he
really?
goes off and he's like, "Yay!"
and then runs away.
That's almost as bad as the worst X-Man ever. Did either you read that?
No, I'm not
Didn't you
reading
read
that.
that?
No. As much as
That
you
was
try.
so
I wouldn't want to
amazing.
read about the worst X-Men
It's an
ever.
amazing read. I'm like, guess what? I don't care.
Max Bemis wrote it.
Oh, I don't no clue that.
Max
is.
Bemis. He's from some band that I knew of, but now I can't remember it because that's how I work.
That's why, yeah, because I'm
Now,
gonna
if you titled it the best X-Men ever, then probably would have checked it out.
It wouldn't be Cyclops, right?
Oh,
Anyway, so Max, in this worst X-Men ever book, he can blow up once and that's it. Boom.
So you could destroy himself.
See, when Grant
He
Morrison,
doesn't come back together.
when Grant Morrison did his run on X-Men, you had a lot of X-Men like that who were like, "Hey, I have 3 miles on my neck. Let me join the team." No, go in the sewers with the rest of the world. Okay?
Right.
You go hang out with Callisto because nobody likes you.
And Marrow.
Marrow was cool.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I got knives now." This guy's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I can eat with my
But
neck."
she paid her dues down there.
I liked Marrow.
She paid her dues in the Morlock tunnels.
But still, she had a decent power. I mean,
Yeah, she had like alopecia.
pretty much. But it was like, I got knives from it.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
But yeah, after that massive explosion, you find out 612 people died, which is a very catastrophic event. And it makes big government start talking, should we have these guys registered? Should we put them on the payroll? They're not trying to tell you you can't be a superhero anymore, but you need to be a government official if you want to do it. And in that explosion, Speedball was the only survivor. He got launched 500 miles because of his kinetic shield and then like lost his powers temporarily.
Yeah, and he ended up killing like a bunch of kids, man.
Yeah, he killed like 60 kids. They blame him for it because
He was the only
whenever
one left.
yeah, and he was the only one surviving, so he had to take that. But also, time and time, like before it, they were like, "We maybe shouldn't be doing this. We maybe shouldn't be doing this." And Speedball's like, "Come on, guys, we can do it," because that's kind of how he
See,
is.
this is where mutants get it right. They're like, "Hey, we're going to open a school and teach you how to use your powers."
yeah.
When everyone's like, "Hey, guess what? We're going to join a super team and just go blow stuff up. Yay."
That's what happens when you get like cool bald guy Professor Xavier versus not so cool bald guy and like Ultimates like Nick Fury, who's kind of just around now.
Hey, but we have to breathe in a green fart cloud.
Oh, whatever.
That's how we cocoon out.
Oh, you creep piece of shit.
How cool would it be to be in a cocoon for a little bit?
Not at all. Not at all. I'm stuck to be Kree too.
So going back to Civil War, after that event happens, Cap is one of the first to be approached with this registration reform. Maria Hill informs him that they've been training teams to take out superheroes with tranq guns and all that kind of stuff. And she says, like, you know, what do you expect? He goes, well, a lot of the street level heroes will resist, you know, and probably a few other big guys. And she's like, okay, well, can you handle them? And he's like, what? She's like, you heard me. Can you handle them? He's like, all due respect, that's not the way this is going to work. You know, and he brings up the point that once you're on government payroll, government just tells you who the supervillains are. You know, superheroes are supposed to be volunteers anonymously and that. And she has a small unit of S.H.I.E.L.D. soldiers attack him, and he beats them all up and jumps out of a helicarrier onto a
They're just
plane.
wiener shield agents at that point. Try taking on Cap. Good idea.
But after a while, you know, it's sheer numbers, and that's what made it impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's Cap. Just ding, 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 ding. I'm just going to throw my shield at you. Boom.
He lands on a jet after he jumps out of a helicarrier. Like, I don't even know if he knew that jet was coming, but he's just like, I'll probably live. And then just like lands on the jet, shield in it. And the guy's like, Jesus. And it's totally where I think they got that from Age of Ultron, where he's like, language, son.
I start pulling that on you guys sometimes. Hey, language. So many times we can get in an episode.
So yeah, then after that, the Registration Act goes public. It's officially, you know, a law. Shortly after that, like the very next night.
See, the fun thing is they tried this before, like in the 80s with mutants. They're like, oh, you're a mutant, you have to be registered.
Which Iron Man seemed to not remember because I think he paid a visit to Emma.
Yes, he did. He paid a visit. Well, Emma, because actually a lot of people don't know that the Stark families actually have been members of the Hellfire Club. And yeah,
It totally makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
And he went and visited Emma, who he's had relations with on occasion. Was like,
Tony
hey,
Stark.
how's it going? Yeah, right.
Who hasn't had a relationship?
Well, it's the same with Daredevil. Who hasn't he had relationships?
Yeah.
He's pretty much a man whore of the Marvel universe.
But he hasn't
But
seen any.
Chicks love
that
blind
would be
guys,
the last
man.
woman like I would ever have relations with, though.
What?
Like Emma Frost. Like it would.
I would fish. I would go for Rogue over that.
Out of all the like queens of the Hellfire Club, I think she's the safest. I mean, the Black Queen was like Selena. She's like, oh, I'm gonna just drain your
Dude,
psychic
she's
energy.
in your head all the time.
Yeah.
Not when she's
Over her
diamond.
and
amazing.
Psychic Vampire. I'm gonna go with the
I'm not
not-psychic
gonna sleep with
vampire.
any of them, but Emma Frost is definitely not on my list. Like, I think she's hot as hell, but
Language.
no, like any chick that can screw with my head way worse than any normal woman.
I think when it comes to Cyclops, it's like, well, I did marry the Phoenix.
Oh, he's got a temporary wall
yeah,
up in his
he's
head.
got the
He
sidewalk.
can handle it.
He's like,
you know,
you can go wherever you want in here. That little room with like the little red X on it, don't touch it.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's Cyclops. You know, like you said,
Yeah.
he's gone out with the Phoenix. So
Yeah.
like,
But
Anyway, Tony
I
Stark.
haven't. And I, you
But
know,
Tony
it's-
Stark approaches Emma, who is kind of like is become somewhat headmistress of the Xavier school, and they're like, "Hey, you want to like join us? Like, come on our side?" And she's like, "Oh, that's nice of you to ask, Tony, but you know what? What was it? 612?
Yeah.
612 humans die, and the government makes a big deal about it.
Mhm.
What was it? 3 million mutants die on Genosha, and
None of the good
nothing.
ones.
And none of the good ones. Like Magneto was thought dead.
Yeah.
You know,
But he
a bunch
didn't-
of Sentinels attack, and then no government comes to help us.
Yeah.
You're on your own.
That's a good
Have
point.
fun. So the mutants kind of took a sideline to this, except for Cable, who was on Cap's side,
Mm-hmm.
because in the future he wields Cap's shield in the fight against Apocalypse, and then Bishop went on Iron Man's side and was kind of helping out with that, and then Deadpool because he got paid to be on Iron Man's side.
But even Wolverine, he was like, not. They said like, yeah, Wolverine won't break ranks with the X-Men.
Wolverine did the one thing that he's like, you know what? You guys can fight all you want. I'm going to hunt down the guy who blew up and killed the kids. And
The
he hunt down
actual
Nitro,
Yeah.
which was a really cool thing because he got a hold of Nitro. Nitro blew up in his face. And the only thing that was left was an adamantium skeleton. And he grew back from it.
It's awesome.
It's Wolverine, man. And he goes for like justice a lot of the times.
Yeah.
You know. Like we talked about in that one episode, it's like he's not a murderer. He goes for who deserves
And
to take it. you
Yeah.
know?
He went after the guy, like cut his hands off and brought him in.
Yep.
I think it's gonna get to the point where adamantium is considered like a valuable resource again, and someone's just gonna melt his body, melt that damn statue down, and he's gonna end up being alive within it or grow from within it.
I can't wait.
Like some
and,
kind of
and,
adamantium.
and then Venom will
cocoon,
be attached to him again. That's gonna be freaking awesome.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I'm just messing around now. So anyway, go
Yeah, the two
some
different
more.
sides are pretty well distinguished. As Darren has said before, like you had all the smart guys fall in line with Iron Man. You had Hank Pym, Reed Richards, you know.
but yet the rest of his family, the rest of the 4 went on Cap's side.
Yeah, Johnny Storm was actually the first one of the first people attacked. Like in that bar, they were like, "Hey, what's up, hero?" And he's like, "Dude, I wasn't even there." And like he just gets like hit with a bottle,
Yep.
puts in the hospital. You know, people are just getting attacked, and these two sides form, and there's still major players that are unaccounted for. One of them being Spider-Man, who had a huge moment in this. He, for the first time in his history of being Spider-Man since he was 15, as he says, Peter Parker reveals his true identity.
I mean, I remember when he had the Venom symbiote removed, when Reed Richards removed it from him, and he was basically given like a Fantastic Four outfit, and he put it back on his head
Yeah.
because he didn't want anyone to know his
Bagman.
identity.
Yeah, and he fought. I think he fought a couple like crimes like
Yeah.
that.
It's Bagman.
He was one of the few who actually who didn't go out and just tell everybody like, oh, well, I've got a girlfriend, I got to tell her I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah,
No.
and that was huge because Tony convinced him to do it. And in one of the offshoots, Civil War Frontline, which was really great, it covered like 3 different stories. One of them being what happened to Speedball, who gets approached by Reed Richards, and he's going from jail to jail because everyone's blaming him for those murders. So all the inmates are like, "Hey, child killer, what's up?" Trying to like stab him and beat him in jail and all that. And then you actually have one of the story arcs in Frontline with Spider-Man talking with the reporter who brokered the deal with Iron Man. He's, there's scenes where he's like, "Hey, I've already thought about this. I moved MJ and Aunt May away. Like I'm ready to go forward with it," which is pretty cool. But the whole Speedball thing of the Frontline was my favorite because he loses his powers. Reed Richards comes back to like help him and convinces him to testify, about everything that happened. And in the process of doing so, he gets shot. And the bullet goes straight into his spine, and the fragments mess with his powers. And shortly after that, Reed actually convinces him to join up and register. and he does, but he forgoes Speedball. He completely burns his costume, and he takes on the new identity Penance. He has a new suit design because as his powers have mutated, the nature of them now is when he suffers pain, because he's constantly down on himself throughout this whole story arc. You know, he's just really feels the remorse of everything that happened because he did not pull the plug on this before it happened. And so his remorse, like, mentally altered his mutation. So now when he gets, like, stabbed or shot or something, he generates this crazy kinetic energy and just, like, blasts it. And he has a suit fashioned, which is like an Iron Maiden suit. And this thing is so nasty. It has spikes coming out of it, but they're double-sided, so they're going into it. The majority of them go like a little over a half-inch in. There's 60 of them for each child that died that go deep into his body, like piercing the skin. And he said there's like, you know, several of the like girls that like were mentioned that like he had known, like were like, there was one like right digging into like right above his heart. You know, all the emergency medical responders that found him, because he still had leftover like energy from nitro reservoir in him. It exploded and vaporized those guys. So he put thorns in his gloves, saying like, their blood's on my hands, so I'll feel every punch I throw. You know, like because of them. And the mask has spikes. It's just really cool.
Sounds like a capside kind of guy.
Yeah, well, he actually joined the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, he was on Team Iron Man.
I know.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's what I was saying. It sounds like a cap.
You know, I think really what separates this event from other event books is the fact that, you know, besides all the heroes that have fought each other in comic books in the past, they adopted that whole Stan Lee scenario where like no one's ever gonna beat or kill one another because they allow it to be a draw, you know, so that they can both go back to their books and still sell on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
And no superhero ever really loses to another superhero.
It doesn't
Solid
damage
business
their
move.
credibility.
Exactly. And this is kind of put to the fan on this event book. Like,
Yeah.
there's people that die, there's wars being waged, you know, and you have to pick a side. And once you choose your side, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it's man versus man, hero versus hero on this one. And that's why it was, I think, so respected by readers. It was the first time that that's ever really happened, you know, in Marvel's, you know, book history. And another thing that actually had me kind of captivated about it is Marvel did another one of those things where they pull something from real life and then they emulate it through their books and through Marvel's history. During that time, there was huge like things going on in Washington, D.C. to try to get, you know, guns registered. Everyone wanted to register their weapons in the United States. So Marvel took that and they went with this and they brought it to their readers on a different level, but kind of talking about the same thing at the same time.
Totally. And if
Where
you
it
look,
divides a country. It divides a country, and Marvel divided its country.
yeah.
You know?
If you look closely into the dialogue, you can see they do that on purpose. There's even a line that goes like could be straight out of what you're saying, and that's that one of the government, you know, public announcements is like, these mutants, some of them have the power like Nitro. It's like an atomic bomb. You know, that's weapons that you can't register. That's why they want you to register.
Right.
Weapons of mass
And
destruction.
now, like, because they have those amendums, like you have to get a FOID card, like in our state of Illinois. It's because, like, you know, I'm a gun guy. I love guns. I love going shooting. I love hunting. I think that it's definitely a part of our past, and it's definitely a part of our civil rights as an American. I think that we should be allowed to have them. Not to deviate this from the subject at all, but it's one of those things that I also think that if you're crazier than hell and you've been in a padded room, you probably shouldn't own a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or own
and it's the
superpowers.
same thing that Cameron was saying. Like,
Yeah.
if you're crazier than hell, you probably shouldn't, you know, let the government know that you're going to explode in someone's face.
Yeah, and another similar theme of the whole like gun registration and what's going on in Civil War is Iron Man says to She-Hulk, she's like, "Oh wow, what's that?" And he's like, "The people are cheering again," you know, because during one they're on the good guy side, obviously, as if what the people want is the good guy side. And he's like, this is just really weeding out the sociopaths, the amateurs, the people who don't want to commit to this type of thing.
Absolutely, because those guys are gonna rush into, rush into downtown Miami, just firing their guns.
See, Moon Knight deserves to be in this.
Blasting off their
he was a nut.
superpowers.
He is a nut. He has multiple personalities.
Yeah, he's a nut, and he deserves to be a superhero because he's done so many amazing things.
And they try to register, and he was like, "Screw you!"
Yeah,
Screw
double bird.
and then they send the Thunderbolts after him.
Yeah.
And he kicks some of our ass. But,
it was a gross team at that time. Like I was saying, Civil War was my first real foot into picking up and collecting comics. First main story I read. But Thunderbolts was the first book that unprompted by anyone I picked up and started reading on my own, and I love that franchise.
I can't wait for the new Thunderbolts too.
Yeah.
Yay! They're coming out with a new team.
Yeah, I know.
Bucky Barnes.
I don't know if he should be leading it. I like him.
He's a bit crazy too, but I love him.
Yeah.
I like Bucky, but it's one of those things. I mean, okay, this is
Well, then who should lead
a little
him?
bit of pitching. Okay, when he was Cap for a while,
Yeah.
and it was like, yeah, he's Cap, and it's awesome, and he's like Cap with a gun. He doesn't fight like normal Cap.
Well, yeah.
And it was great. I mean, I like Cap. I love him. But, it was nice to have somebody who's he's fighting Crossbones, and Crossbones is kicking his ass. And he takes out his Bowie knife and sticks it right in his thigh and twists it. He's like, oh, that's not how Captain America fights.
Yep.
When he throws his shield and the aim guys, it goes right over their head. And we're like, what? And then they turn back because they can't believe that Captain America's shield did not hit them.
Yeah.
And he's like, pop, 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 pop. You're dead. Yay.
Yeah, but that's how he fights versus Cap. I
And
mean,
then and then you had Fear Itself, where he got almost dead. He got beaten until he was almost dead.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, he can't be Captain America anymore. We got to make it secret that maybe he died. And then we're going to give Captain America the shield back.
Yep.
Why?
Boom.
Why? Well, let's just have Bucky Cap.
yeah.
And then, but no, then he
But
went,
let's have Sam Wilson Cap and do the same thing.
that's like when Dick Grayson became Batman. It was cool for 5 minutes, and then it was go back to being Nightwing. That's what you're good at.
Yeah.
There's a reason Tim Drake's not Batman
Yeah.
because you're not. Batman.
He's called the Falcon. He's not the bald eagle.
No,
there's no reason to make that dude Captain America.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Hey, but for those who read Captain America's 75th anniversary book,
oh, he's back again! Yay!
spoiler.
Yeah, okay.
And he's not gonna have his shield anymore. He's gonna
So
have
he's
try to
not
have a
old man
shield.
Captain
Yay.
America anymore?
nope.
No, he's not old guy anymore.
Okay, so that just regressed and went out of nowhere? or-
Yeah, they just. I mean, it was the whole. It's just dumb.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at a later date. But
Okay.
point is
All right,
him and
all right,
him,
that's fine.
him
I
and
don't
Sam
need to
Wilson
know
had
about it right
issues, and
No,
then,
don't worry about it.
Yep. All right.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
But I'm worrying
No,
about it now.
I'll find out by myself. That's fine.
I bought a copy if you want to read it.
I bought 5.
I'm not even gonna give a shit.
All right, go on, Cam.
All right, going back to it, there's tons more superhero fights peppered in here, but a couple more things that just mentioning, comparing it to the movie that's coming out is there's gonna be a lot of missing characters. You're not gonna have the X-Men. You're not gonna have the X-Men turning down Iron Man, which would have been cool.
Yeah.
They would have only had to budget 2 of them, like Deadpool. And Jessica Jones and Hellcat had a scene in there where they even go separate ways. Just to show how the divide is going back to our Civil War in real times. Brothers and sisters on different sides of this war.
I forget. Who did Jessica Jones' side take?
Cap, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hellcat left.
because Luke Cage is her hubby,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Luke.
and he was Team Cap.
Yeah,
Again,
he was all the way.
another character that exists now but won't be in it, and he was peppered throughout it.
But there is rumor that there will be a connection to the Netflix series
that's cool.
because
even if they just
one
honorable
of the
mention.
actresses who is in the Luke Cage series is actually going to be in Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's just a mention, because how cool is it in Daredevil when they talk about the event?
Yeah.
It's oh, they're mentioning Avengers. It exists together. So if they just say Hell's Kitchen once,
Plus,
I'd be
Baron Zemo's going to be in the movie, which if you see any of the trailers, they never show.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
can't wait to see him.
Yeah,
I
we've
think
gotten
he's cool.
a glimpse of Crossbones,
who looks cool.
but Baron Zemo, I completely forgot he was even in the movie until I read something. I'm like, oh shit, that's right, Baron Zemo's in the movie.
Yeah, and like we were saying, back to the Netflix characters, Daredevil had a huge part in it when he finally gets captured towards the end.
The devout Catholic.
Yeah, who they're like, Tony, he wanted to see you. He has something for you. He's like, what? What do you talk about? Well, he has this piece of silver under his tongue, and Tony's like, what's this for? And he goes, yeah, it's 31 pieces of silver, Judas. It's just damn.
Hold on. Now, Do you think because they're saying Thor and Hulk are not going to be in the movie, right?
Mhm.
Will Ragnarok be in there?
As in the Clone Thor?
Yeah.
No.
That'd be awesome.
Because Hank Pym's not in the movie, as far
yeah.
as we know. Reed Richards is in the movie, and they're the ones that cloned him,
Yeah.
along with Tony.
Why wouldn't they be in the movie?
Yeah,
Well-
maybe we'll get a Michael Douglas scene.
Well, I mean, if you look at Michael Douglas's character in Ant-Man, Hank Pym wants nothing to do with Iron Man.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
like, I don't want the Starks getting a hold of my tech.
Yeah.
And he seems like, I mean, if Ant-Man's going to be on Cap's side, it's probably because Hank Pym is on Cap's side.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, and then Reed Richards is Fox owned, so
Yeah.
they don't exist.
Oh, I guess
Yeah.
they don't even
Another
matter.
big part that won't be in there. Who else we got? Punisher. Punisher had a huge part.
Yep.
Backtracking a little bit, Spider-Man, after revealing his identity, decides that wasn't the best idea and defects. He gets into a fight with Iron Man and beat up a little bit, and he runs away. And they sick villains on him. You know, they send.
And
after-
they're not like high like level villains. It's like Jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, they weren't even Thunderbolt's team. They were just we
because
got
they
villains.
found out who he. I mean, when he revealed his identity, the thing a lot of people don't realize is like, oh, he revealed his identity. Yeah, but he took pictures for the Daily Bugle for how many years?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, the Bugle's credibility is in question because you had Spider-Man taking pictures of Spider-Man. You know, you didn't know that, Jonah.
Yeah, his
And
reaction.
There was
Yeah.
lawsuits. There was all kinds of things. And then the villains who'd been fighting for years was like, he's Peter Parker.
yeah.
Oh, I know where that guy lives. Go
Yeah.
get him, you know? And that's what started happening.
Yeah.
So he's running around the sewers fighting like C-list dudes, like we said, Jester and the Jack-o'-lantern, and they're actually messing him up pretty bad. Mostly, I'd say, because of his fight with Iron Man earlier. But of course, last minute when they have him cornered, they're about to kill him, and just like Suicide Squad, they're we have a kill switch on you, so don't even try it. They're like, all right, fine, well, let's just kick him some more, you know. And before they get to do that, they're lifting him up. You see two little dots on their heads. First one explodes. Second one explodes too, and you see Spider-Man sitting there hallucinating because.
You got hit with like fear toxin.
Yeah,
or
some
something like
hallucinogenic, third-rate hallucinogenics. and,
The C Squad.
and he's like, I know you, Skullface guy, don't I? From somewhere? And the next scene, you see Punisher, who just knows where their secret base is for Cap's side. He's just like, get me a medic now, you know?
that. Well, I mean, that's the thing about Punishers. I mean, he is straight military.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably had it scoped out. He probably, you know, he's good enough to know to cover your tracks when you go to your base.
He even says
Johnny
he's the
Storm doesn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm on fire. I'm Johnny Storm. What's up? You want to sign your autograph? Woo! Yeah.
A little bit of my
base
heat.
now. This is where it is. I mean, he doesn't even have a secret identity. Everyone knows Johnny Storm's the Human
Yeah.
Torch. I live in the Baxter Building. Isn't that cool?
right. And it's cool too because at first when he gets there, his Punisher gets mixed responses. You know, why is he even here? He's like, who you think's been covering your asses the past couple weeks when you guys are getting sloppy? You know, I have something for you. And he gives them the plans to the prison Tony's making. And
Oh,
the negatives of
42.
them. Yeah, 42. And I forget who says it, but just like knowing Tony Stark, it's got something to do with his mom. Like White named it. It's like, God.
One thing I heard cool that's in the movie is like they're going to be having the raft in it.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty neat. I even seen like pictures of it. Or
I have a
like,
feeling there'll be a
videos on
cool
video.
breakout scene in there.
Dude, that it looks awesome. It's like in the middle of the
Yeah.
water, comes out of the water.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I'm kind of bummed though, because going back to the Punisher, one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing was when they realize they're starting to use villains, and you know that's around when Punisher shows up. Someone I forget who's like, "Hey, we found a couple villains who want to help too," and like they basically say, you know, for villains it's crazy right now because everyone's fighting everybody and we have no idea what's going on. So since they have villains, maybe you guys could use some villains too. And all of a sudden, you just see like Uzis out of the trench coat and Punisher blows them all away. And everyone like, you know, empties his clips, is smoking barrels, and all like, what? You know, and Cap jumps on him. He's like, you murderer, you piece of shit, you know, and he's just like beating him, hitting him with the shield. And he's like, fight back, coward, fight back. And Punisher just looks at him, bleeding, beat up, and he's like, not against you. You know, and Spider-Man goes on to make the comment like he has too much respect for Cap because if you look at it one way, Punisher is in Vietnam, Cap was in a different time war, but they're essentially the same people.
They had to do what they had to do at the time to get things done, and you know the only difference is like Captain America never had his family murdered. You know, so
One bad day.
Very nice. So you got anything to add to Civil War? And how did it end?
Oh, as we know, poor guy. Caps wins. He wins. He actually beats Iron Man in the fight, but then the civilians of whatever city they're fighting in rush over and get in between the heroes, specifically piling up on Cap, begging him to stop. At that point, he feels like they're winning everything except for the argument, which we know leads to some crazy stuff afterwards once he gets put in handcuffs. Which do you think they'll do that in the movie?
No.
No.
I've heard from a lot of sources that, because I'm trying to avoid spoilers for the movie,
Yeah.
but I've heard that the ending will be dramatically different.
Okay. But do you think Cap will die still?
No, only because Chris Evans has like one more movie still on his like, and from what I've been hearing from, because the Russos are directing.
Is it Avengers Affinity? Is that what?
Well, here's the thing about Avengers Affinity that I just heard about. Avengers Affinity 1 and 2 will not be, it's not like part 1, part 2. It's going to be like Avengers Infinity is its own movie, part 1. Part 2 will be its own movie unto itself. Yes, they are a story arc, but it's not a continuation. It's not going to stop and be like, oh, what happened? Oh, we got to wait a year for the next one. It's going to be like a continuation. Do I think that Cap will die at some point? Yes. I think that it will likely happen in Infinity. I could see him going down against Thanos.
He was the last one in the book to go down against Thanos, which was cool.
Exactly.
Infinity War.
A theory that I've kind of been knocking around is that I could see being Iron Man who gets taken out.
Really?
I could see they have the I do see like Cap giving up. Because basically the story's going to be about him and Bucky. It's everyone else is in it too, but the story's about their friendship. And I think that's what starts them going down that path. And I think that maybe Robert Downey or Iron Man's a little bit jealous about it. It's like, I was your friend too.
Yeah.
You know, but he's going to Bucky's side.
That actually is a really good point, because I've actually heard like Robert Downey Jr. is almost about done doing Iron Man.
Well, they kept saying like, are you going to do an Iron Man 4? And he's like, oh, he was kind of like on the boat. Yeah, maybe that sounded good. Now he's kind of like, it's probably not going to happen.
What I heard, he doesn't like filming the scenes where you see his face in the suit, because that's just him with a camera.
Yeah,
and he doesn't feel comfortable doing it. I'm not speaking for him, but that's just what I heard.
But I could see like they could do the scene where he's being taken away in chains, and someone takes a shot at him, and he's the one that takes the bullet.
Especially because if
maybe
Tony's
someone
out of his
goes
armor,
to take a shot at Captain America, and
that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
goes in the way.
I could see that being the case.
That would actually blow me away.
I could see neither of them being taken out. I have a feeling War Machine might be getting taken out, which sucks because I love War Machine.
It looked like Bucky did it, because in the one commercial you see like he shoots him in the chest with that gun.
But when you see him with the gun, that's like a sniper rifle, and then he's getting hit with like a bazooka.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if anyone's taking him down,
shield tech.
Yeah,
It's just good editing.
if
on
anything,
that scene.
I could see it being Crossbones is the one that takes a shot.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for a while there, everyone thought that was going to be Ant-Man that takes him down because of what he did to Falcon and Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I also think that when War Machine hits the ground, I think that he's really badly injured, which kind of provokes the war. Like, I know they already had a little skirmish at that point, but I think it provokes the major war.
Because I mean,
but I don't think he dies.
In the book, in Civil War, Goliath is the one that gets taken down, and that kind of escalates it.
By the clone Thor, for those who don't know.
I mean, he just outright kills him, and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And that kind of divides side. That like actually cements it. It's
And
like,
made
we're
Hank
going down.
Pym go to Cap's side.
Yeah. So I mean, it could be a few things. I really do not think though that Cap's going to go down. As much as I want Bucky Cap, as much as I would love to see. I mean, Sebastian Stan though has come out and said, and it could just be them trying to like, look over here. Oh yeah, we're really doing it.
I mean, what was the title of that run where Bucky took over after Cap after that?
Oh hell, I don't remember.
First
the name
Son or
of it.
something like that.
But I mean, it was such a good. It was such a good.
Can you imagine though,
series.
Captain America 3, that title, like
sweet.
Bucky?
Well, I mean,
That'd be so
the whole
cool.
idea. I mean, he blamed Tony in the books. He blamed Tony for the death of Steve.
Yeah.
When Tony was blaming himself, I mean, it wasn't Tony's fault. I mean, it was the Red Skull.
Yeah.
And then he let himself get captured by Shield, and then basically like his arm like got off and was like screwing up things, and he got out and he beat the crap out of Iron Man. And that's when he had like the nanotech suit, the one that he didn't even need it. It would just like form up around him. And that's when Tony's like, I have Cap's will. And in the will, like an old attorney from like Brooklyn, just an old like a good lawyer, like not one of those like guys shysters you see on TV.
Yeah.
He's like has been Cap's lawyer for all these years, and he's like, this is for you. If anything ever happened to Cap, and Cap's like, I want you to take care of Bucky. And at the time, Iron Man's like, well, I'm trying to find a Captain America. Hawkeye wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
All these S.H.I.E.L.D. agents he was training weren't going to do it, and he gave the shield to Bucky.
That's awesome.
And then he's like, and he's got that cyber arm, and it's like perfect for it. So I would love to see Bucky Cap
That would be cool.
going into like,
Cap 3.
well, technically this is Cap 3.
Oh, there. Yeah.
Going
That was a big
into
brain fart.
Avengers Infinity, I would love to see Bucky Cap.
That would be
pretty
cool.
sweet.
Yeah. But no, I think it'll have a different ending.
Yeah.
I saw one thing that when someone broke it down was they believe the catalyst for this is a United Nations meeting, and which is why Black Panther, who is also on Cap's side in this war, as was Vision in the books, Black Panther and Vision were on Cap's side in the books. Just stating that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this United Nations attack, Black Panther's father, they're saying, is there because he apparently in the backstories his father was assassinated sometime. So they're thinking that Winter Soldier is the
Yes, I have a feeling that has something to do with it too, and that would explain why he is in any of the things you see for the trailers. He's gunning for Winter Soldier. I mean, when he's on the bike and he is like running him down, and then he
He looks
cuts
like
the back of it.
It's really cool the way he attacks. It looks like he's like pouncing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's fighting like a panther.
that's one of the
cool.
one of the Marvel movies I'm thoroughly looking forward
Yeah.
to is Black Panther.
How about that one just little clip where his claws are on the shield?
The shield,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man, it's so cool.
I mean, that's vibranium versus vibranium.
yeah.
The
It's
movie
vibranium adamantium
I mean,
compound
I'm
in
not-
the comics, but whatever.
I'm not as familiar with
It's a compound.
I'm not as familiar
Alloys.
with like T'Challa on paper, but does he have super strength and all that too?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Or is he just a badass?
well, it's a little bit of both.
language.
Okay.
I mean, he is a little bit super strong, super quick, all that kind of stuff because there is like spiritualism involved.
Yeah, I
and
think
stuff like that.
he's like has hyper agility.
But he's also
reflexes.
like ridiculously smart. I mean,
Yeah.
his suit has tech in it too. I mean, it's all vibranium based, but like he could run at a full like sprint, and you're not going to hear him coming because of his vibranium boots.
That's awesome.
I
stuff
think
like
he's
that.
fast as hell too, isn't he?
Yeah.
I've seen in like over the years in Marvel books, he's usually right up there with Richards and the guys like.
I mean,
talking
when
tech.
Civil War happened, well, he was on the Illuminati for a reason.
Yeah.
And he was initially the one that said, I don't want anything to do with this. Like, you guys are crazy getting together and not telling anybody what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then he showed up when it eventually got too bad.
the wise one, out
Yeah.
of, like
But I mean, during Civil War, like, him and Storm got married while that was all going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then, him and Storm went on this little honeymoon thing where it's like, let's visit the other, like, dignitaries and, like, royalty of the Marvel Universe. Like, they went and visited Captain Britain.
That's
and they
cool.
visited Doom in Latveria and, like, the Inhumans and stuff like that.
Namor.
And then, Namor.
That's awesome.
And then they came and got in the whole Civil War thing. And, like, he fought Tony, like, head on. And he had all these little tricks. Like, his suit, like, armored up. Not as great as the Iron Man suit. But then he had, like, the ebony blade that, like, Dwayne Whitman, the Black Knight, had given him. And he, like,
Oh, that's
tore his suit
awesome.
up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And, he's a badass. He's my
Yeah.
favorite Avenger. My
Yeah.
favorite all over Avenger.
That's cool.
And if you're a Civil War fan, there's Civil War 2 coming out in the comic books. I know I just mentioned that, but next month.
I think you have some of the Civil War in the back issues here at the store, right?
I also have that too. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yes, for Civil War 2, I'll be on
Civil War 2.
Team Tony Stark.
You're not going Team Captain Marvel?
No, because Tony Stark is going to wage war on those crappy Inhumans.
That's why I'm so split.
Yeah.
Now, what's the main conflict in that one?
Yep.
If I'm right, and I don't know a lot
It's
about
all in
it.
speculation.
Guys,
right now.
10 years ago, it's still a thing.
has
the
some-
registration.
It has something to do with the characters or they're going to be getting a vision of what the future could possibly be. The idea is, do you fight to change it, or do you just kind of let it go and get to that point? So I guess, and each side's going to take, I don't know what that future vision is or anything like that, but I think that's what it is.
That's why I hope maybe one of our displaced like visitors from the future, like maybe Old Man Logan, will have something to
That'd
say
be
about
sweet.
it.
Well, he is, isn't he on one of the signs that they put up for it?
Promotional
marketing.
posters?
Thank
The
you.
circulator.
Yeah.
He was on one of the promotional
Yeah.
posters, him and Gene.
Him and
Yeah,
Jim.
so I mean, I know that the X-Men do get an actual series, which is debunking the whole rumor that Marvel's just trying to like get rid of them like they did the Fantastic
sweep
Four.
them under the
Which
rug.
I'm glad about.
Yeah.
Because the X-Men have their place.
Like I said, it would be silly for them to do it.
I thought you were gonna
because
say you're glad they
the only
swept the
thing that they're gonna do,
Fantastic
the only reason that they would be cutting their own throats if they did that.
Yeah.
See, little things like that new Avengers Alliance 2 game. That's like, because we all play that Avengers Alliance game. So, you know.
The Facebook one?
Yeah. And the X-Men were in it. This Avengers Alliance 2 doesn't have any X-Men in it. I was looking it up on Wikipedia. I was like, well, I don't wanna play
I
it
straight
now.
up forced sex on that game. I played that game. I've played that game for like 3 years straight, every single day. Like
Wow.
multiple hours a day.
You're so hardcore into it.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Like that.
And it was just an app game, and I was just like, oh, I want every guy, and I want him to do every ability, and I want every gem. And God, and after 3 years, I'm like, what am I doing?
What have I done with the last 2
I have
years of
a
my life?
problem. I have a problem.
South Park coined the term really well as a freemium.
Yeah,
It's freemium. You get it for free now, and then later you just pay out.
yeah, and eventually I'm
dollar
just
here.
like buying Coke and like, the first
Coca-Cola.
The first one's free.
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
then
say, wait a minute.
the first one's free.
Gotta stay up on that
Like,
speed.
3 years later, I'm selling my VCR.
Because, I mean, I'll be honest.
You know?
VCR?
Hey, it's an antique now, man.
Right.
I mean,
My
when-
Betamax.
When they initially said Civil War II, like, hey, this is our next crossover, I was like, who gives a shit? I ain't reading it. But then it came out
Yeah.
that Tony Stark's
And
in which we're in the Inhumans. I'm like, yay.
yeah,
Screw you,
Don't even
Inhumans.
start. Don't even start because I'm probably
Go back to the moon.
Get the hell off of our land.
Right?
go cocoon somewhere else. We don't want to
Out
hear
of
your
here.
fart gas.
I don't want it.
Mpox.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, guess
so-
what? Whose fault is it? It's crappy Black Bolt.
We don't
that's
need
not
that
crap. He's
green ass
awesome.
mist in our ocean water either.
No, it's called green fart gas.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, like I understand what Black Bolt was thinking, kind of.
I
but
don't.
He
No, that
yelled
was-
no at Thanos, and he's like, "Well, that sucked. Well, I guess I'll kill you now."
Yeah, that was completely moronic. But besides the point,
I'm the king.
I think it's enough time on Civil War and Civil War 2.
Stop fighting each other.
Yeah, because we're kind of split here. I
I
think we should come back to
tables,
friendship. No, it's kind of like a 3-on-1 kind of thing.
I'm sorry that Inhumans suck, and you need to go back to Kree, home planet.
No, they're going to be amazing.
I'm still a free
out with your
agent,
supreme
so
intelligence.
either
Do so.
Iron Man or Carol Danvers have to recruit me.
That's how I feel about it. currently.
Otherwise, it's
Yeah.
not morphin' time.
before I read it, I'll decide when I read it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be
Because
good.
I actually am a fan of like Carol Danvers. I've always
Yeah.
liked her.
Yeah.
So
It's much better than what I heard it was originally going to be. I heard originally it was going to be like Old Man Logan versus She-Hulk.
yeah, me too.
Yeah,
was like,
no,
ugh.
that was in the early promotions. I actually still have those things. I'm like, I don't know about that. And then you see the next one. It's like, okay, that's kind
The
of
thing is, if he kicks her ass, then she'll just sue him because he's a fucking
language. All right. So
What is she gonna take from Old Man Logan?
He got like a cabin in the woods.
He has nothing.
he doesn't.
Got $5.
Like his flannel shirt.
His beard, just gonna shave his
Give
beard.
me half of
Wait,
your
it's made out of
beer.
adamantium and,
Yeah.
and what do you call it?
Fifth of your beer.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the first segment, Civil War. I think it's gonna be great, the movie and the books. But Danny, you read something else you want to bring to the table?
No, what do you mean?
Oh, well, all right.
all right.
We'll move.
shortest
Yeah. What I was bringing to the table this week is an event that happened around the same time as Civil War did. The reason why this event captivated me is it's on a cosmic level.
Annihilation.
It's an event that happened around in 2006, and it's something that we hadn't seen in Marvel since the late 80s, and even explored these characters since around the same time. These are cosmic level characters that even I, being 25, 26 at the time, I was even, very ignorant about these characters. I had a sense of naivete. And the characters I'm talking about are characters like Super Skrull, Silver Surfer, Nova, Ronan the Accuser, even on a sense, Thanos and Galactus, even though, I had read Infinity Gauntlet, I never got really a sense of like what they were and who they were about.
Or how cool
And-
they were.
What's that?
Or how cool they were.
Yeah, I just on a more intimate level. Like when you read X-Men, when you read the Avengers, you're getting a more personal side to these characters, and that's to me what draws you into loving a character so much. You know, and when I had heard that Marvel was going to be releasing this event series, it captivated me. I wanted to learn something new about Marvel that I had never learned or done before. What's going on over there?
I'm clearly having issues.
Some kind of
mic.
like moving your microphone.
Using the Force. So
Yeah.
Blake doesn't have a mic anymore.
Force mic. All right.
So basically the series is called Annihilation. It was written by Keith Giffen, art by DeVito and Villari. Like I said, it came out around 2006. And it basically opened up a new age of cosmic comics and heroes that brought you on board, as well as much as like, you know, you can learn about these characters the way you know about the Avengers and the X-Men currently. It's basically, it opens up with this thing at the end of our universe. It's called a wall, and they call it the crunch. And basically this crunch separates our universe from another universe.
From the negative zone.
From other universes.
Like the source wall in DC.
Kinda, yeah.
Exactly. And on the other side of this wall is a character by the name of Annihilus. And he has been a Marvel villain at one time.
Primarily Fantastic Four.
Yeah. And
I never heard of him because I'm not a Fantastic Four guy, and I've never read this, so that's actually
exactly. Neither have I. I've never heard of this guy either. Only afterwards did I even like look him up or find out where he originally came from.
Like I remember in not Civil War, Secret Wars. You know, he had a part in it, the second one that we covered. You know, second episode. But I didn't know who he was other than he was a badass who had his own like army.
Right.
Yeah, he's basically a bug. I mean,
Yeah.
basically, he is a bug. He's kind of like the king of them.
It's like a bug with tech.
Yeah, and he has
Like a
what's like
Vong?
it's called what?
Like a Vong, like use on Vong almost.
Nah, not in that sense. I mean, think of like an actual like gross bug, but he's out of all the brood, he grew to be like the leader.
Oh, okay.
And he
Like-
has
wait, like the guy from Space Ghost.
like Zorak.
Zorak.
No, he's not like Zorak. But
I remembered it. Remember yesterday? I was like the Tick. I'm like, no, it's not the Tick.
Zorak.
Oh
Space Ghost.
man.
I figured it out.
Space Ghost coast to coast. Great job. But he has a cosmic rod that gives him power, and he basically like leads over his entire army. I mean, he's basically like one of the higher like warlords of the negative zone.
Does the power give him bend their like minds to his, or does it just make him super powerful?
A little bit of everything. Okay. I mean, he's kind of like the brood king. They do exactly what he is. I mean, he has brood queens that basically like just reproduce constantly and make an army.
Yeah.
and
Sounds
then
like
they
a
have
locust swarm.
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what is the basis of the story.
Yeah, that's a good rough, you know, determination of what he is. And he had in this other universe, he had been constantly felt threatened and provoked because our universe is ever expansive. It's constantly growing, and as our universe is expanding, it's expanding into his. So, because he felt threatened upon that, like seeing that our universe is expanding into his, he's like, there's no way I'm letting this happen. I'm taking over that universe because I'm not going to let that universe expand and make themselves larger than mine. Even though if our universe is expanding, all that means is that his is as well. But he's a locust swarm bug villain enemy, and he's just trying to push this way.
His universe is actually getting smaller because it's an older one.
Oh, is it?
And ours is newer.
Okay, because I thought
expanding.
as ours expands, his expands as well.
No, it's just his is the negative zone.
I gotcha.
You know.
Okay, so that even warrants like the fight even more.
Yeah, you don't have much land in there encroaching on your territory as it is.
Yeah. So basically, he takes this wave, which he names, it's called the Annihilation Wave, and he delivers it through the crunch. He comes into our universe, and whatever he approaches, whether it be planets or anything, he destroys in his wake. And
Destroys and devours.
yeah, and recycles upon itself, building more of itself and more armies to make the wave bigger and continuing forward.
And any, like, think about it, any lost soldiers they have, they just breed more. That's really what it is.
I feel like this is bugging the Marvel Universe.
Actually,
That look you gave me was priceless.
Good thing I was already sitting down.
the weird
boys.
thing is that, like, a lot of the core Marvel Universe didn't even know this is happening.
Yeah.
They came so close to getting just destroyed. Like, oh yeah, we're having our Civil War. Yeah, I mean, this was literally having parallel. I remember, like, oh, Civil War #5 came out. But I want to pick up Annihilation like #3.
That is so cool. So it's
damn it.
like on Earth, meanwhile in the space station.
Exactly. It
Death is coming.
Like, dude,
In the
do you
Hall of
realize
Justice.
how retardedly trivial your little Civil War is compared to what's going on in the universe?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
in the stars.
So
That's crazy.
basically what ends up happening is the Annihilation Wave comes in and hits like a main core battery of energy that sends systems and other planets like energy so that they can fuel on like their lights, their heat source and everything.
Like generators.
Yeah, exactly. It's a giant generator in space. And Annihilation hits this generator, and as soon as that happens and goes out, all of a sudden the Nova Corps is kind of notified that this generator went out, something hit it, something depleted it completely, and it's gone permanently. So we need to find out, send some scouts out to find out what the hell is going on. So the Nova Corps did that, and then they found out what it was. And they're like, okay, there's this giant annihilation wave coming our way. We have to prepare. We have to make defenses. And it ends up coming to the Nova Corps. It comes to Zendar, and it comes to the core homeworld, and the homeworld of Nova is devastated. It tries to fight as much as it can. It had as much preparation as it could.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely
And
devastating.
there are thousands of Novas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still a core.
It's a core.
And as we know in our previous podcasts, cores don't survive very well.
Yeah.
Our running joke is if you attach core to any of the Green Lantern Corps, wiped out.
You get wiped out by the villains.
Wiped out. Yeah.
Whenever a bunch of Green Lanterns show up and there's a fight, how many rings that you see flying around as they get killed?
Yeah.
Same with the Sinestro Corps.
The Celestial Corps got wiped out.
So it should have just been Boy Nova going in by himself. He would take them all out.
If they ever do this in movies, like I said before on previous podcasts and off air, John C. Reilly for Nova. He's the only one that like had any personality.
Oh, he's not Richard Rider.
they're gonna make someone new because that dude had a family and he still has.
And the way their Nova Corps is kind of different. I mean, the ones that were in Guardians, yeah, they were Nova, but like Novas have their suits are what give them power.
They have like jetpacks and stuff.
They don't even
right?
have jetpacks.
Oh yeah.
They just like they're basically like human rockets or like alien rockets because there's one from like all different space sectors, and they're basically like they can power up and just fly through a ship, just knock it the hell out. And you know they have gravity blasts and stuff like that, but primarily they're known for flying through crap.
They also have like the world mind in their head.
They have the world mind that kind of controls them all. And when Richard was the last Nova standing, he was like their suits would usually like connotate their level and rank. He was like one of the lowest one. He just hung out on Earth and was like, "Yeah, I'm a new warrior."
Yeah, even one of the Novas was like, he's like, "Hey man, I've been a Nova for a while." He's like, and then this other alien Nova was like, "Yeah, Earth years don't count.
Yeah,
You have to be in space.
yeah.
That's when you're not green anymore."
And basically, when the wave passed, he was the only one left.
Yeah,
And
he was
given-
sole survivor.
And the
Was
world
he
mind's
there?
like,
Was he at
Yeah,
the
he
fight?
was there.
Oh damn.
yeah,
How'd
and
he
he was
survive?
like, he was like
He just did.
Okay.
Like
pure
at
simple
the end of the destruction and the wreckage.
zippity-doo-dah luck.
Yeah, it was completely dumb.
Tenacity, probably.
I mean, and at the end of it, the world mind is like, I'm downloading into you. You are now Nova Prime. And he was like boosted in power, but he's still like a Richard Rider. Yeah, I was a new warrior. You know, I piss off Spider-Man sometimes. We don't get along. You know, I mean, that's really, he was the only one left.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I didn't know that's how they got taken out though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where this like little one came around from. This new one who I can't stand.
Yeah.
But like Richard Rider was like I was the same one. I was like, Richard Rider, he sucks. Nova sucks. And then I read the Nova series and I'm like, because if I'm right, they had like the prelude to Annihilation.
They did, yeah. It was Annihilation prologue.
Yeah, and they had that, and then they had the 4 miniseries. And then I read the Nova one. I was like, oh my god, this guy's so cool. And he was like literally like scared out of his mind, like, what the hell am I doing? But I have to go warn everybody to what's going on.
Yeah.
And,
Exactly, and that's what, along with Annihilation, there was technically 5 sub-series that went along with it. And one of the 5 series was Nova, and that's what his series was about. It was how he was dealing with being the last sole survivor Nova, being on his own with the world mine, being, of course he was a hero for a while now, but now he's a sole hero in the universe by himself, and he's the last of his kind. So it was kind of that dealing with, his own thing.
And didn't Quasar show up for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm Quasar. I have the cosmic bands. Yeah.
Again, it tackles those heroes that you don't really know much about, and this series really flushed out a lot of those heroes. And it was just like, okay, so this is what he's about, and this is what Quasar is about.
Like a spotlight for space.
Yeah, so it was definitely a spotlight event for space.
This series single-handedly brought like the cosmic aspects of Marvel back, where like DC has always had it. You've had the Green Lanterns and stuff like that,
yeah.
and it's always kind of been on the forefront. I mean, Superman's Kryptonian. He's from Krypton. Krypton,
Yeah.
It's cosmic.
Yeah.
You hadn't, besides for like the Infinity War, and then the
and that was like so subpar now.
yeah, and then there was like little stuff with like Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch and stuff like that. Beyond that, you didn't have that. This is what brought that back.
It was like you mentioned. This is the reason why Guardians of the Galaxy even got made.
I mean, if it didn't start with this, it wouldn't have gotten into like where you got to know more about. I mean, everyone knew who Rocket Raccoon was, but it was a joke.
Yeah.
It's Rocket Raccoon.
He had a solo series in the 80s, and it went 4 books, and then you never heard from him again.
and then I mean, I remember when Guardians of the Galaxy first started getting big, and like a couple of friends of ours were like, "Check this out," and Rocket would run around like shooting people. It's like, I murdered you, I murdered you, I murdered you. And it was like, and Star was like, dude, you can't like say that. That's like not. But he's like, I'm murdering people. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, granted, they don't throw that out in the series. And then you had Groot. He's just a tree who's like, I am Groot.
I am Groot.
And it's like, really, that's all he says. But it's what made it popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. And others, the other series that are amongst the sub series of Annihilation are Super Skrull. He is a major Fantastic Four villain from like the 60s, and you don't know anything about him. You don't know anything about his race, how they think, what they do, what entails them at all.
Well, a little side note, what a lot of people forget is that when the Skrulls kind of first showed up, like Reed Richards fought them and stuff, and then like he made a bunch of them just like shapeshift into cows. And I'm not kidding. And there was a whole side series about like people who like, those cows were they were hypnotized into thinking they were cows, and then like they got slaughtered, and then people ate the cows and got powers from the meat that they ate.
Oh, wow.
In fact, I want to say that Mark Millar actually wrote that series.
awesome.
That is crazy.
But
is
like
so cool.
that's the thing, like people don't know that happened. Like they forget that Reed Richards did that, and like Super Skrull was like one of the like, I mean, he has all of the Fantastic Four's powers. And he uses them to deadly efficiency.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's like, oh, you have to breathe oxygen? Yeah, visible air bubble around your head.
Yeah, I'm not a big Fantastic Four fan, like I just stated a couple minutes ago, but I know who he is, and I've seen him kick some people's ass.
Yeah.
You know,
He tears it up. So you get to know about him a little bit, further into him. Silver Surfer, of course, has his own series because that's a dynamic cosmic being that deserves his own series amongst this series.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you meet him. I mean, there's Firelord. Like Galactus had other heralds, and these heralds are all like, crap. There's this annihilation wave, and it takes like 5 of them to take out a ship. And you're thinking power cosmic, and these guys are having problems.
yeah.
Yeah, that's actually another sub-series that they only had 2 issues with, but it's called Heralds of Galactus, and it goes through Silver Surfer, Firelord, the other Heralds of Galactus.
I can't remember the one that was all alien and like water.
Yeah.
It was like its element.
That one eludes me all the time too, but basically it goes through multiple Heralds of Galactus besides Silver Surfer, and what their mind was as being a herald with Galactus, and how that differed from Silver Surfer. It's a 2-issue series. It's cool. The last one was Ronan the Accuser, and his story it's not so much depicted as a villain's tale. It's just a tale from his point of view. He's the leader of the Kree, and it's seeing things from his point of view and his perspective during this whole annihilation wave. And he has his own reasons and things that he's doing on the side during all this, and he's pressing it to his advantage.
Yeah.
So you see what he's doing.
Did Gladiator and the Shi'ar make an appearance?
They don't. They're mentioned briefly, but they're mostly X-Men space.
Okay, so were they said on the far end or something?
Let's say Earth is here, Kree space is here, Skrull space is here. The Annihilation Wave was coming towards them. Shi'ar's kind of over here.
Okay.
If I'm right at the time, I want to say because the Starjammers are kind of over there with him too. I know the X-Men went and had an adventure that dealt kind of with the Shi'ar and the third Summers brother who basically went, and I think that was kind of going on around the same time.
But they had never any knowledge that the Annihilation Wave was coming.
Okay.
It didn't.
Earth didn't, and any of those guys didn't.
I mean, Annihilation spurred off there was Annihilation Conquest, which was the one after it that dealt with Ultron and the Phalanx. Then there was War of Kings. Now, when you got into War of Kings, that dealt with the Shi'ar, and you had Gladiator and the third Summers brother Vulcan. Then that started dealing with the Shi'ar, but for Annihilation, they weren't in it.
Yeah, but to go back to Annihilation, obviously one of the major players of Annihilation was Thanos, and Thanos, he wasn't all armored up. He was basically low-key at the time, and he was with Death as usual. And Death kind of came up to him one day and he was like, hey, I should let you know that there's this wave that's destroying the universe right now, and it's causing a lot of death. If you can somehow go be a part of that, in your own way, you would be giving me these deaths. And you know how much I so desire that and love that. And you know how Thanos is with death. He's so crazy.
She's not gonna give him any, but she's like, you could do this thing for me.
Even though when he had the Gauntlet, he's like, I just killed off half the universe. Huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but that doesn't.
She's just like, well, I didn't want you to do that for me. Total woman. I'm sorry, but Death is a total woman.
She almost enjoys the intimate side of it. She enjoys the intimate side of, or personal side of the kill, of the death. And this is kind of like that. Although you don't see every single individual entity that's being destroyed by the Annihilation Wave, it is slow death that's imminent and coming your way. And I think that's, in a way, that's what she was getting off on.
You know who she does love? Wolverine.
Yeah, she does.
Death
love
absolutely
Wolverine.
loves Wolverine.
Yeah, that actually got brought up in the Death of Wolverine series.
Yep.
And what I liked was when she was on vacation, just to sidetrack a little bit, she's like, no one comes to my island, to Death's Island, to try and kill Wolverine while he's here. Sabretooth sent the hand, and they rained from the sky in front of him while he was viewing a courtyard, and it said, see you soon. It's like, oh, you don't mess with Death.
Yeah, so inevitably, Thanos ends up teaming up with Annihilus. For this whole wave of destruction, you have Thanos on your side now. So what ends up happening is, I want to say it was the second issue. They actually captured Galactus.
That was the first issue.
That was the first issue?
Because at the end of the Silver Surfer issue, the Galactus is like, I want you to be my herald again. He actually came to him because Silver Surfer left him. And he's like, I want you to come back to me.
Well, I heard that he was one of the top 5 most powerful beings with the power cosmic.
With the power, when he, when he granted he's still the Silver Surfer, but he didn't have all that power. None of the heralds did. That's why it was taking him so long to even drop one ship. But then like Galactus is like, I'll give you back your full power. Like he knew that what was happening was not cool, and so he gave it back to him. And then he like tore through a ship like no problem.
He's just flying through
Pretty
stuff.
much.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
And in the first issue, they get their asses kicked, and it was like you're reading it, you're like you just got out of like that series, and now you're like, yeah, badass, like Silver Surfer,
He's doing good.
awesome. Galactus are teaming up. No one can. Whoa, that just happened. Like what happened? What?
It just goes to show you like the pure power and destruction of the Annihilation Wave, and they like you see Galactus is strung up, man. He is bolted by his wrists, waist, and ankles, and it literally goes it basically explains how Galactus he doesn't absorb cosmic energy through his form. He absorbs it through his life force and his aura. His aura feeds his form, but his form and biology of his body has nothing to do with controlling, storing, or protecting that power. So what Thanos does is he adapted Galactus and his planet devouring technology that Galactus has to his needs. And he siphons the energy directly from his aura and life force and redirects it to the Annihilation Wave generators. And it powers everything. It powers the entire Annihilation Wave. And he basically lets Galactus live on like a sliver. So the entire time, Galactus is absolutely starving.
Damn.
And Silver Surfer is kind of being used as a battery in as well as Galactus in this little like bubble that they're containing him in. And he's like kind of down on one knee with his fist towards him. And he's underneath him the whole time. They're basically siphoning them both and using them as
and
as
basically
power.
Galactus is a giant like Independence Day gun. They just go over a planet, zap it, destroy it, take the power, give it to the rest of the Annihilation Wave, and move on.
Recycle and then move forward. So as bad as the Annihilation Wave was before, now they just captured a Galactus. And
Again, though, like you said, they just took something out and they're putting it into their ranks and making themselves stronger.
Yeah.
It's just in a different way.
And you have a lot of the smart, like Richard Rider is like bringing together an army of like ragtag heroes. Like Firelord eventually like shows up and he's like, yeah, I'll help you guys out, I guess. And like this is the first time I was ever introduced to Star-Lord. And the friend of mine who introduced me to the series is like, yeah, he's been around for a while, but like this is how he is now. You know, he doesn't really go by Star-Lord anymore. He just goes by his name, Peter Quill. And he had like black hair and like a cybernetic eye. And he's kind of just like bitchy the whole
like
time.
not Chris Pratt.
And I'm like, who's this guy? Like, I had no clue who he was.
yeah,
And
he
like,
definitely looks a lot different than the Star-Lord that, you know, the public is used to seeing.
and
So
it was the first time I was introduced to the current, like, sort of incarnation of Drax. I mean, the way they kind of have him now is he's kind of dumb. When I was introduced to him, he was like a giant green Hulk, space Hulk.
yeah, almost like Green Goblin because he had that purple like cape or
Yeah,
hood
he
or
had like a little
whatever.
dingy purple cape, and then like his little purple like unitard, and he was an idiot, but he was so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And he was just kind of really dumb. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, like.
I hate Thanos.
Yeah, pretty much. And like the last time I had seen him, he had like I think he had like the power gem. 'Cause he's a member of Adam Warlock's Infinity Watch.
Oh, nice.
And then like all of a sudden you see him in here, he's like way smaller. He's still green, but he's got like red like tattoos. He's got a couple daggers, and he's really like calculating. And I'm like, what the hell happened?
yeah, he's like a merciless killer.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And you know, like he's constantly throughout the whole series trying to track and find Thanos
Yeah.
and kill him. And you see that fight. That fight definitely goes
Yeah,
down.
and it's pretty ridiculous.
It's
in the main
insane.
book or
yeah,
in the
series it happens.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like this series like brings you fights like, you know, Drax versus Thanos, Terrax versus Ronan the Accuser.
Damn.
Nova at the end, he goes up against a nihilist himself. So he becomes like his own man. And then by the end of the series, he takes out and like he goes against the nihilist by himself alone.
Does Ronan take out Terex?
Well, you'll have to read and
Oh,
find
you
out. Man.
son
Dun
of
dun
a...
dun.
Well, I mean, the thing, also, I mean, Terex is another former Herald, and the two of them, it's a crazy fight.
Yeah, it's a crazy.
I mean,
fight.
the way they kind of portray Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy, he's not really like that.
The
I mean,
movie, you mean?
He's not like so like, oh, like the Kree species. I mean, that's kind of how accusers are, but because there are more than just one accuser.
Okay.
But he's got that cosmic hammer. And it's a crazy fight. I mean, because in the other movie, he's like, "Oh, I'm not cool until I get the Power Stone."
Yeah, the thing is in the Marvel universe, Ronan has separated himself from his society and been out within the universe and done his own thing long enough to where he's kind of adopted his own identity. You know what I mean? So yeah, he is badass and he's a dick, but he also has his own views now. He's not so concentrated into like, for the Kree and for myself and power and lineage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's found a gray area.
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, these individual books, they go into these characters and they flesh them out a lot more for you guys that are more interested in the space, Marvel heroes and stuff like that. Like I said, if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, like this is the event series for you. It's highly suggested.
I mean, I remember reading the series when it was going on because I got introduced to it by a friend of mine who was like, "Hey, you'll like this too." And I remember reading it, I'm like, "This is amazing." And then I started picking it up, so it's like it sucked because Civil War's coming out at the same time. And then when it ended, Nova got his own series, and I can't think of the artist's name who did the covers, but they were amazing. He did the War Machine covers too. I don't know if you've ever seen those. Yeah, he did like during the Dark Reign. Like he did those War Machine covers. And basically, like Richard Rider ends up coming back to Earth after all this shit went down. He comes back to Earth. He goes and visits his mom and his dad. And there's a scene where like his dad gets up in like the middle of the night to get like some meat out of the fridge and like looks, and Richard's just like looking at the TV and like the world mind is like downloading all this information, but it only has him as the body, as the resource. So he's just like sitting there, like looking at the TV, like speaking tongues, and his dad's like, and then he goes and visits Penance, who, as far as he knows, is still Speedball.
Yeah.
And he gets like attacked by like the Thunderbolts and stuff like that. And he's like, what the hell is going on? And they're like, well, you're an unregistered superhero. He's like, what's going on?
What does that mean?
And he talks with Penance, and Penance is like, that's what happens. I'm all dark and brooding now. And he's like, what the hell? You were like the life of the party on the New Warriors.
Yeah, now he's hanging out with like Bullseye and Matt Gargan as Venom and the Green Goblin on the Thunderbolts.
And then he goes to visit Tony Stark, and he's like, hey, this is what happened. Because after everything dropped with Civil War, Tony Stark took over S.H.I.E.L.D. Because Nick Fury went into hiding. And he ends up like showing up with Iron Man. He's like, yeah, this is what happened in space. You almost died. You're welcome. And Tony's like, they didn't seem to care.
Tony wouldn't care though.
Well, yeah,
He'd
but
be like, where's my drink and my...
I would have figured something out.
If anything, you should have went and talked to Reed Richards.
I would've bought
'cause
somebody
the
out.
thing that cracked me up is that like the 42, the prison was made in the negative zone. This war originated in the negative zone. It's like, yet nobody knew it was happening. Like Reed Richards is the one who always stumbles onto this stuff.
Yeah.
But he was too preoccupied with what was going on Earth. So it was a great like parallel.
Yeah.
Like seeing what was going on in this little puny war here, and then you had this massive cosmic thing with all these like B and C level heroes and villains teaming up to take out this giant like apocalypse.
See, that's what I did. Like during the time of that Civil War was coming out, like I kind of picked my event series. I was like, you know what, man, I'm collecting Annihilation. That's what I want to collect. But I still bought Civil War's main story. Like the 1 through 7 or whatever that there was. I still bought that. I just didn't buy any of the offshoots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I bought everything in Annihilation. So when Annihilation was all over, I read, Civil War. And then now I get to go back and to buy the offshoot stuff. And thankfully, that's not the stuff that's expensive.
Yeah, right.
So I'm just happy that I
cheap.
was able to collect, the main series of Civil War while that was going on.
For sure.
But I don't regret my decision because it totally gave me, definitely opened my eye to the rest of the universe. And if that is something that, if you're a Star Wars guy, but you also like Marvel and the superheroes and stuff like that, it's like this. It comes together, you know? Like that's what Guardians of the Galaxy like did for me.
Yeah.
It was like it satisfied and satiated my science fiction side with also like my love for comics. So
outside of like at the time you had like Dark Horse Star Wars comics. It was
of
Marvel's space stories.
Of course. You know. It satiated both of those things. So
That's cool.
Yeah. That's my recommendation for the week.
And that's a wrap.
It's so cool though, just like finishing out on that subject, when you're a huge fan of comics and then they do something with like, all right, we're going to take a strong fantasy theme and throw all these characters like from the X-Men, the Savage Land with crazy monsters and stuff. And like being a fantasy like fan my whole life, it's like, oh dude, so cool, you know?
Well,
like,
it's nice to see, like, the thing that was nice about Annihilation, it was nice to see Marvel, which at the time wasn't owned by Disney, kind of taking a chance with all these B and C level characters and just like, we're going to put this event together. Just go with it. Let's see where it goes. And it was great.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I always find that tends to work is if, you know, just like music and just like movies and everything else, overexposure will eat you to death. And if you go back and revisit those heroes and characters that you haven't seen in 20 years, reflush them, bring them back into society, there's a reason that was popular 20 years ago. It's because it was awesome. It was just overly exposed.
Yeah.
You know, then. Or maybe not given the credit that it was due at the time.
yeah, they were out
Put
of
a
time.
good writer, put a good artist on that character. It's nothing wrong with the character.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about how you present it.
Yeah.
And like really honestly, just as you're saying this, it came to me like the state of the world. Maybe 20 years ago, the world wasn't really ready for Guardians of the Galaxy, but now, like, perfect time.
They've seen it all before. Now they've had a taste of Avengers. Now they've had a taste of X-Men. Now let's give you something new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
X-Men was one of the greatest because that came from, you know, civil rights times, and it still holds relevance on so many levels. The themes of acceptance and just tolerance and brotherhood, family, all that stuff is just
Well, I mean,
amazing.
it's something you notice when you watch the movies. I mean, the Avengers is a complete, like, superheroes, let's get together, let's beat back the bad guys. But when you watch an X-Men movie, it's usually more deep.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, look at Days of Future Past. That isn't just about, let's go beat the bad guys. It's like,
Yeah.
that's all about extermination. And, like, we got to go back and change minds of, you know, people so that we don't get obliterated in the future.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Awesome. Nice. Well, that's Annihilation for you. So we're going to be doing a new segment this week. We're just starting it today. This week specifically, we're going to be talking about comics that happened last week, right? Especially picks that, well, mostly that I picked. But I added one because I talked to Darren yesterday. But here it is. So I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions of stuff that happened last week. But then I'm really going to talk about one that I really liked. First honorable mention is Uncanny X-Men #6. Darren, do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
You just wanted to detail it all in its grandeur
Well,
and glory.
Just tell them how awesome it was. Not necessarily what happened.
Well,
You know, like
one thing that, okay, this is coming from like a person who is really big on like continuity.
yeah,
I was like, where the flip did Archangel come from? Like, if you read Uncanny X-Force, he got like stabbed with the life seed, and we got this weird all happy Angel who didn't remember that he was Warren Worthington or anything to do with Angel, and supposedly like Archangel was gone and dead, and then all of a sudden like we show up and he's basically just a drone that like Psylocke controls, and he just flies around and kills things. It's like, where did he come from?
Yep.
And in here they kind of hint at it.
oh,
and-
they more than hint.
Well, they basically just say Magneto found him.
yeah,
But Betsy's been trying to get inside of his head to see if there's any sign of Warren there, and she finally gets in contact with him.
yep,
And they go through this whole like splash page of like his origins, like, you know, how Angel was like the beacon of hope for the X-Men.
yep,
Because I mean, yeah, he really just had wings and could fly, but he looks like an angel.
yeah.
And that was a beacon of hope. And then when he lost his wings during the mutant massacre, and then how Apocalypse came and was like, hey, I'll give you your wings back, but you got to work for me.
Yep.
And
Wasn't Angel
it's-
always one of those characters who was kind of like a brother to everyone? Like, Like looking out for everyone all the time, like type thing.
Initially, it was kind of like, "Hey, Gene, you're hot. I'm totally rich. You got all this money. Why are you with that douche?"
Do you like my wings?
Yeah, I would
kinda
say
what it
that
was.
he actually had a little bit more of an ego, and he was a little eccentric.
Yeah.
Back at like when you first got to know him, and then he ended up leaving the X-Men for a while, and then they came back with X Factor. The originals all came back with X Factor, and then Mutant Massacre happened. Sabretooth and a bunch of Marauders went down and were killing all the Morlocks in the tunnel. And this guy named Harpoon basically staked his wings, and he ended up having they were destroyed. They were, it's like your leg gets messed up and you get gangrene. You gotta cut it off. That's what happened to his wings.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I remember reading the issue where it happened, and he's like, his back's all bandaged, and he can't like keep his balance because he doesn't have those wings anymore. And he's just like, I can't live like this, and he commits suicide. Everyone's like, shit.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, for like a book that came out in like the 80s, it was like,
Pretty vicious.
That's like breaking the comic code there. Like that's
Well, it was
questionable.
and basically like he's talking with Betsy, and he's like, listen, this thing's gonna happen. Like I witnessed this event, and basically you see all these archangels like a
I'm gonna cut you off there.
oh, okay.
I'm gonna leave a little anonymity to the what is that word? Anonymity. To the rear.
Okay.
Let them pick it up and
Sound like there's
it
an
up. We'll talk about it
archangel
later.
core.
yeah. Oh no, hopes not. Hopes not.
And to anybody who is like, I have a theory about it. If anyone's really curious, pick up like the X-Force. I want to say Volume 2. Maybe not Volume 2, Volume 3. The one where Wolverine got his like kill squad and Archangel officially came back. Pick that up because it kind of leads into, in my opinion, I think it's where it's going.
Yeah. And we do have that, by the way.
It's really good.
I want it.
Yeah,
I've always heard about how great that run on X-Force
it
was.
was great.
Another honorable mention of this week is Vision, number 6.
Vision.
I absolutely love this book. I know we've talked about Uncanny X-Men 1 through, was it 4, I think was on our old podcast. But, that was the magic of Danny. But Vision is one of those books that's absolutely amazing. And it really brings Vision into like a family setting. And they can't, he can't really handle the family setting too well. You see a lot of interesting
His
times.
wife
I
is
don't know how to
based off
explain
of the thought patterns of Wanda Maximoff, like you expect.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I read the first 4 of that, and it was great. I love the dynamic of them trying to be a real family, like
Yeah.
almost in the sense of Pinocchio, like, I'm a real boy.
Yeah.
They just got a dog.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
It's absolutely amazing.
It makes me think of, like, if Dr. Manhattan, like, from DC, like, the Watchmen had his own family, the way they were, like, they would lay out their thought process and how they'd respond to things. It's cool.
Yeah, back to what Darren said. They have a dog. If you've been reading it and you haven't read number 6, you see what this dog just really screws. a lot of
Robot
things up.
dog or, like, flesh and bone dog?
You'll have to read it and find out.
Well, I don't care. I will kick that dog if I see it now.
I'm leaving a little bit of cliffhangers for the reader here, so they kind of be like, "Oh, that's cool,"
Well, I don't know if I can think it's cool or not until I know if it's a real dog or a not real dog.
Well, you're gonna find
Do you know
out
what
when
a
you.
cyborg is?
Yeah,
What's a cyborg?
it's a robot. It's not a robot.
It's an
So-
alloy.
Half.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at.
Parts.
We'll leave it
I
there.
was being silly.
I'm always silly. But yeah, they get a dog.
It's a
They just
cyborg.
mess everything up. So if you've been reading it, and if you haven't been reading it, start reading it because Tom King is doing an amazing job on Vision. And he's
Plugging him for Batman.
I was just gonna say I'm plugging him for Batman because I think he's gonna do.
High five.
I think he's gonna do a fantastic job on Batman as well. So
Former
yeah.
CIA investigator.
Yeah. So moving on to another honorable mention, just because the Star Wars craze we've been talking about it is Poe Dameron. He came out and made his own book this last week, and let me say, action packed. Because you see him in the movie when he comes in, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna," first. Wait, no, I forgot what happens. But I remember when he comes back, the second time you see him, and he just annihilates like 5 to 10,
the whole
12
time
TIE
in
fighters.
the movie, he's associated with nothing but action.
Action.
Counted
And-
the other week, 13 in the swoop. Like from
Yeah.
the time he shows up and he's like, "Don't be intimidated by these thugs," to like attacking to his swoop going up.
Yeah.
Me and James counted 13.
13.
He takes out.
So
It's
if you want to see
amazing.
a lot of what he did in the movie, This is exactly what you're looking for.
Written by Charles Soule, who's one of my favorite comic book writers.
Hell
Best
yeah.
Inhumans writer ever, too, by the way.
He's really good at doing the Inhumans.
So, another honorable mention on that one.
I wish my name was Dameron instead of Cameron.
It's like me and you feud. Cameron.
It should be Dameron.
Cameron.
But here's
now
one.
I'm gonna be like, God damn.
Dameron.
We're gonna edit that out. But here we go. Here's the book that I'm gonna call it a spoiler alert on, because I do want to talk about Empress big time, because this book was absolutely amazing. In my opinion, the best book of the week, easily.
Mark
I don't think
Millar,
you
I
guys
see.
Yeah. I screwed that up last week. It is Mark Millar and Stuart Immonen that wrote it. So yeah, disregard that.
Andy,
last week.
edit that out.
Yeah. What, the Immonen? So anyway, so this book is by Marvel Icons, which is the offshoot publisher of Marvel. And this Empress is this nice snazzy young lady that meets the Emperor, all right, at some what appears to be a nightclub.
Okay.
But he is that high roller dude that's off in the corner in a booth, you know, and he's kind of got like those velvet ropes kind of tying it off that nobody can get to, right? So this Empress comes over and she kind of sneaks her way in, and he's like, I'm looking for an Empress. What do you think? You know, and he's like, your past is forgotten. You don't know anything about your past. Forget it now, because you are going to be mine from now forward. Right? It was kind of crazy. So, but they open it up with a big dinosaur. That was like the first, it was like a dinosaur in an arena against some prisoners. And the Emperor is just being like, yep, you're basically going to die. You either fight me or you fight the big dinosaur.
To
you know,
his Empress?
No, this is to these prisoners.
Oh, okay.
Right. Just think of Gladiator when you're watching the movie Gladiator.
Gladiator with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of those tigers that come out, you know, rawr, it is literally a giant T-Rex. He's like, either fight that or me, and they chose the T-Rex. So, being that it's only issue 1 makes me question like how powerful this Emperor really is. Mm-hmm. You know.
Does she have any known powers like yet? Like
No, nothing. And she's on the cover.
Does it say anything like the lands she's an empress of?
Nope.
Interesting. Or what about the Emperor?
The main thing you see, I'd say the first half of the book is this action-packed gladiator battle.
Okay.
And then
Now, when you say that she met him in a nightclub, was it like a nightclub or like a KNIGHT nightclub?
you're referring to like knights in armor kind of club?
Nightclub.
This isn't really medieval.
Feudalism.
Nightclub.
It's almost futuristic
Okay.
and past at the same time. Think of Savage Island with
Do they almost seem like
Tech.
Vandal Savage, like they're older than they should be or something?
No. But it's basically action-packed dinosaurs and high-ruling Roman gladiator story. Think of it like that, and you'll be a happy person when you read this.
Right on.
So, spoiler alert is over, but that's my little pick of the week segment.
Cool.
I thought that was kind of cool.
I definitely want to pick up the Poe Dameron. I don't know if I'll buy Empress. I might read it.
I
Check
would
it
read
out. If I like it, I'll go forward from there.
If you like dinosaurs, tech, and battling and action,
Yeah.
it's right up your alley. Like that's the stories I like. You know, it seemed
Hell
almost
yeah.
historic. You know, it brought the gladiator Roman Empire.
You
back,
are a
know?
history guy.
Yeah.
You love
In a
the
way.
history buff.
The Lois and
In a way.
Clark.
Yeah, right. Lois and Clark was amazing. Anyway, we're gonna do picks for the next week. This is gonna be coming out in the week of 4/15.
Yep.
Taking a guess. No, it's Monday, so it's be the 13th. April 13th. These books come out. So my pick. Oh wait, I do mine at the end. Go, Darren. Moon Knight number 6.
My pick is Moon Knight number 1, written by Jeff Lemire.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So a relaunch of Moon Knight.
Yep.
It's gonna
This
be
time he's in an insane asylum.
Interesting. Like who's drawing it? Anybody?
Oh, I can't remember the
Anybody
artist's name
renowned?
off the top of my head.
I don't know names.
No.
Okay.
But
We'll edit it in above. Here.
Yeah.
This is the name.
yeah, but it's looking pretty good.
Okay, cool. I'm actually picking a number 1 myself. It's not a Marvel or DC book, believe it or not. I'm gonna go with D&D Baldur's Gate number 1.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a try. I don't usually do that with outside books, but
Yeah.
I like D&D enough to want to read it.
Yeah, they have a lot
And
of good books out.
I love fantasy, so
They just did a D&D book not too long ago, and Pathfinder, and they've both
Pathfinder's
been
awesome.
incredible runs. So it's probably going to be a great.
yeah,
story.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
Like definitely a little bit of a gamble for me anyway, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you'll like it, especially if you like D&D lore.
Yeah.
My pick this week is going to be Amazing Spider-Man 10. It's a pretty good book. Alex Ross is doing all the cover art, which just can't be happy about enough. And it's basically like adult Peter Parker.
Yeah.
You know, he's grown up now, has his own industries, and thanks to Doc Ock, he's a doctor.
Adult.
Adult.
He near mimics Tony Stark a little
Like
bit.
not like Skinamax, but just like mature, like adulting
Like
stories.
David Caruso. And like NYPD
Jade.
Blue.
It's not NYPD. Well, yeah, he was.
Yeah,
in
he
NYPD.
was.
I thought you were gonna go the whole CSI.
I like David Caruso and King of New York. Hey, you.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man. It's a good run so far. It's a bi-monthly book. It's doing really well.
As far as adult, though, I just mean like it's not classic high school Peter web slinging all the time. He's making technological advances to his suit and society, doing more adulting things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you want that sort of stuff, like Spidey, there's a book called Spidey.
I heard it's great.
It does that, and it keeps on the great.
Is the art from the cover the same as inside for that book?
From what it
Spidey?
looks like, I'm not a name dropper, and
Okay.
I'm not good at it.
I just
but
figured
I
I'd
think so.
ask because like I really like the covers. I
Yeah.
think the covers are awesome.
No, the art inside is incredible as well. It
Okay.
is one of those books that snuck up on me, and because I read the first one, I'm like, that was good. You know, I read the second and third one, I'm like, wow. You know, they actually floored me with the book a little bit.
Cool.
You know, so it started off with me one of those least lower popularity. books.
I'm hard on Spider-Man because he has so many relaunches.
Yeah.
That like I don't collect every relaunch. The last Spider-Man story I collected was Superior.
Yeah,
So
that was a good one.
That's when I jumped on. I just haven't left since. I was like, as a kid, I love the animated Spider-Man series. I've read a lot about Spider-Man, but I'm not getting his current stuff, and that's where I jumped on and have been like staying ever since.
Yeah.
Dan Slott's still writing it, or
Yep.
right on.
Awesome.
For sure. It's good stuff. So yeah, my pick for the week is either I'm really just tossed up right now between Monstrous number 5 and Aether and Empire number 1. They actually released for Aether and Empire. It's an independent book. I really don't know who writes it. 'Cause I'm horrible with remembering names because I deal with like 50 million comic books. But amazing war story, history story. If you're interested in that stuff, I fully recommend it. But Monstrous, I think I might pick Monstrous over this. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Monstrous because it's absolutely amazing. Supernatural demons, little dogs, and foxes whipping people's spinal cords. You can't go wrong. But yeah, that's really it for episode 10 of the podcast.
What are you doing here?
Oh no, not kiss.
Actually, we have a little battle going on.
Actually, that was kissing.
Oh, it was kissing.
Oh no, Piccolo's dead. Struck through the heart and you're too late.
Anyway, thanks for watching this week, and enjoy your reading this week. Try to pick up one of these books if you haven't read them before. We got them all. So thanks again, guys. Have a great week.
Woo!